All in all, it was actually kind of a weirdly slow news day, but we did have a lot of news over the past weekend. And for those that missed it, because you were in, that was the intention of Pfizer, so that you would miss it. Last Friday at 8 p.m., they issued their formal response to James O'Keefe and Project Veritas. Okay, informal. They issued a statement about mutations and directed evolution. And the interesting thing is that they actually said that in certain cases, such a virus could be engineered so they could help identify antiviral drug treatments, blah, blah, blah. Basically, in a matter of speaking, they made it seem like they were denying having done anything like this. It's not gain of function or directed evolution, nothing like that. It's just engineering such a virus and researching the mutations to determine whether, okay, fine, you know what? I don't know what they're trying to say. How about we read you their statement, which basically says they're doing it. And several outlets have already reported they deny gain of function, but admit to engineering viruses. They claim it's safe, don't worry. But we'll read into that. We'll talk about that. Plus, we got celebrity actor Zachary Levy, how do you say Levi? He's in Shazam. And in the wee hours of Sunday morning, he tweeted that he agreed Pfizer was dangerous for the whole world. And now he's got a bunch of liberals attacking him as an anti-vaxxer, which is the weirdest thing because he didn't mention vaccines. Nobody did. It's just a big corporation that's been fined billions of dollars for for being found guilty of criminal charges and then allowed to continue operating. So we'll talk about all that, plus a bunch of really fun stuff. You know, CNN, record low ratings, and apparently signing Bill Maher. It's not going to save him. But we'll talk about it. Before we get started, my friends, head over to timcast.com, become a member to support our work directly as a member. Click that join us button. You are supporting this show, the work we do. You're helping make it all happen. And you also get access to exclusive, uncensored, members-only shows from the Timcast IRL podcast. And we had Steven Crowder on recently. I would definitely recommend checking that out because he and I talk inside media baseball and just generally about our experiences with the media, the things they've offered us, what it's like. And that, I think, is really eye-opening and a bit evergreen if people are ever curious about how the media works. Among other things, I mean, a lot of jokes were had. But become a member, and you'll be supporting us and our cultural endeavors. We're opening a coffee shop. Our coffee brand should be launching very, very soon. All we're waiting for right now, I think, is the organic certification because it's a new label, a new product. It is organic. And so now the U.S. government has to tell you, and we have to pay them to tell you that it's true, it is organic. So I guess it takes a long time. So anyway, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. If you really like it, click that share button and then share it wherever. And you can follow the show at Timcast IRL. Follow me at Timcast. Joining us today to talk about this and a whole bunch more, including his personal experience with the lockdowns, we got Matt Strickland.
Tim, thanks for having me on, brother. I really appreciate it. My name is Matt Strickland.
And you're a restaurateur.
I sure am. Before that, I was in the military, so I'm a veteran. Spent about 10 years of my life fighting in Iraq and Afghanistan, and came home and I opened a food truck. It turned into a restaurant, and that quickly became successful as well until COVID hit. And I realized very early on that these mandates were more about control than they were our health and safety, so I fought back. And because I fought back, the government stripped me of all of my licenses, but I continued to fight back, and the people stood with me, and we kicked the government's ass.
You won.
We won.
We got to talk about it. This is great. We went down to Gourmelts it's in Virginia, right? Yep. Amazing food. Oh, love the music, 90s music. Yeah, the food was legit. It was good stuff. And hearing that you won in the end is exactly what people need to hear.
That's right.
Because, nonviolent civil disobedience. You said, look, we're a restaurant. This is unconstitutional. We're going to do our thing. The government came after you. It was a hard fight. And in the end, you win.
That's it. That's what it was all about. I mean, I saw them stripping my customers and my employees of our constitutional rights. And I wasn't going to be complicit in that. And the reason was I spent my entire adult life fighting dictatorships overseas. And I was not going to come home to my country and allow a dictatorship to rule. And then what disappointed me is that my Republican leadership in the state of Virginia did not step up and fight with me. And for that reason, I'm now running for state senate in Virginia, and I'm coming to crush the establishment.
All right, man. We'll definitely talk about it. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for joining us. We got Libby hanging out as well. She's back.
Hey, what's going on? It's Libby Emmons. I'm with the Post Millennial. Glad to be here.
Right on.
Hi, everyone. Ian Crossland here. Happy to report Bucko's doing extremely well. We had an amazing weekend together, hanging out, healing, eating a lot. And also from the front of gaming news, if you haven't heard, Wizards of the Coast has gone back on their decision and plans to basically rip apart their old open gaming license and proprietize all their software. They were about to start taking huge chunks of percentages from people that were trying to make money off the D&D rule set, which had previously been made open.
They couldn't even do it if they tried.
Yeah, and they realized the 89% of the people were dissatisfied in their polls, so they just scrapped the whole plan. They're just keeping it open. So
I read
another instance of humanity stepping up and making sure that what's right remains.
Some quick context. Mr. Bocus is the cat. He is our cat here at the Cast Castle, and he's sick. So Ian is getting some experimental treatments for him. But see, for us, normally, Bocus lives with me, or he did, until Ian started tending to him over the past couple of weeks for his medicine. But Bocus will try and wake us up at about 6:30, 7 a.m. screaming. And then what he does is he puts one paw in your face and then lets out a claw right in your face, and you go wake up to a light, like what's happening? And then he's yelling I want food, wake up. So we were thinking it was kind of funny. I'm like, oh man, Ian sleeps so late. How's he going to handle Bocus screaming at him? And then I went, Ian's awake at 6:30 a.m. He goes to bed.
That's right.
So Bocus is chilling. He wants dinner. Ian gives him his 6:30 a.m. dinner, and then they both go to bed at the same time.
It's great. And also, it's Kara and I are doing it together, my girlfriend Kara. So the two of us have a 12 hours on, 12 hours off kind of schedule. But Bucko's in good hands.
Right on. We got Serge pressing the buttons.
Yo, what's up, guys? I hope you guys are well. It's been a long weekend for me, but we're out here. Let's get started.
All right. Here's the story from the Daily Mail. Pfizer admits engineering COVID mutants in lab studies to ensure its antiviral drug works on new variants, but pharma giant insists tests were not gain of function and did not pose risk to the public. I love this story because we constantly hear this where it's like, the analogy I give is, Dr. Fauci, is there a door on the building of the NIAID? No, there is no door. We have no door. We have a porthole with a large wooden object, and there is a mechanical device you twist, which causes it to unlatch and open on hinges. And you're like, bro, you're describing a door. They just play this game where they're like, I didn't jaywalk. I just crossed the street, not in the crosswalk. It's like you're describing literally the thing. So Pfizer, in response, presumably to Project Veritas, released a statement at 8 p.m. on Friday. Look at this. Friday, January 27th, 8 p.m. We did a show that day, but we didn't see this message come out literally the moment we go live because we do pre-production about an hour before. But we're going to make sure we get this story front and center on Monday so that nobody forgets. They tried to memory hole this. Let me read for you what they say because it'll make you laugh. Allegations have recently been made, is their statement, related to gain-of-function and directed evolution research at Pfizer. And the company would like to set the record straight. The next paragraph you're about to hear is just patter to make you not want to read it. They say, in the ongoing development of the Pfizer BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine, Pfizer has not conducted gain-of-function or directed evolution research. Working with collaborators, we have conducted research where the original SARS-CoV-2 virus has been used to express the spike protein from new variants of concern. This work is undertaken once a new variant of concern has been identified by public health authorities. This research provides a way for us to rapidly assess the ability of an existing vaccine to induce antibodies that neutralize a newly identified variant of concern. We then make the data available through peer-reviewed scientific journals and use it as one of the steps to determine whether a vaccine update is required. Okay, so wait. You get the new variants, then you test it, see if you need to update. Makes sense. They add. In addition, to meet U.S. and global regulatory requirements for our oral treatment, Paxlovid, Pfizer undertakes in vitro work, e.g. in a laboratory culture dish, to identify potential resistance mutations to nirmatrelvir, one of Paxlovid's two components. With a naturally evolving virus, it is important to routinely assess the activity of an antiviral. Most of the work is conducted using computer simulations or mutations of the main protease A, non-infectious part of the virus. You see, at this point, I'm reading it they're not saying they're engineering anything. They then go on to say, in a limited number of cases when a full virus does not contain any known gain-of-function mutations, such virus may be engineered to enable the assessment of antiviral activity in cells. Okay, now they're just trying to play a legal game with me. Let's just break that sentence down to try and understand it. In a limited number of cases, when a full virus does not contain any known gain-of-function mutations, such virus may be engineered to enable the assessment of antiviral activity in cells. What they're saying is, when they engineer the cell, they need it to express mutations like they said they were checking for so that they can see if their antiviral works. That, to me, fine. Don't call it gain of function. Call it engineering, like they did. So COVID's actually engineering such a virus, as they've stated, to assess antiviral activity. Okay, there you go.
Pfizer's engineering.
Oh, sorry, what did I say?
Pfizer.
COVID is the engineering, but it's,
Pfizer, sorry.
Yeah, so
it's
Pfizer,
long
you're
weekend.
saying in this, they admit to engineering certain
They
viruses.
say,
Well, they have to check and see if it works.
Right. It's not gain of function or directed evolution. It's engineering.
What I want to go back.
This is the game they play.
You're right,
Yes,
Tim, because when
it
I
is a
read this,
game.
I also started to fall asleep, especially after that second paragraph where they're like, let us be clear about what we did. We did not do it, was the first the way they start up the first thing. But when they say that they've conducted research where the original SARS-CoV-2, let me get this below this image up here, has been used to express the spike protein from new variants. So the original SARS-CoV-2 virus has been used to express the spike protein from new variants. What does that mean? That they use a virus to express a protein in another variant?
Well, no. It just sounds like what they're saying is when there's a new variant discovered, they take it and then they put it in a dish and like grow it so they can have the spike protein. That doesn't sound like gain of function or anything like that. It's the middle part of the second paragraph where they're like, and in a limited number of cases, if the virus does not contain any known gain of function mutations, such a virus may be engineered. It sounds like they're saying engineered to have gain of function mutations.
It does sound like they're saying that, and
Come on,
I think they are saying that. But you had Fauci saying for a while that they weren't doing gain of function, and then it was clear that the research that was being funded was gain of function research.
It says gain of function on the research documents.
Yeah, that's what it says.
And Rand Paul is like, Dr. Fauci, this document is yours, and it says gain of function research. No, we did not do it. It says right here, gain of function. I didn't do it. Okay, man.
And you can see
we get a
why they
subpoena?
would think it's a good idea, right? You can see why they would think like, okay, we're going to do research. We're going to figure out, we're going to make the virus worse so that we can test our drugs and whatever else. You can see why they'd think it's a good idea, but that doesn't make it untrue that they're doing it.
I disagree. I think the potential mutations of a virus have to be infinite.
Yeah,
I don't think it's a good idea.
But
I'm saying you can see why they would think it's a good idea.
My point is this. Let's say there's a million potential mutations to the virus. Why would they mutate it and be like, if we mutate it this way, we can make a vaccine for it this way? And it's like, oh, so 1 in a million chance. You make money off that? That doesn't make sense to me.
I don't know. To me, it sounds like the quintessential CYA. They just spent a whole paragraph telling us they're not doing something and just slipped a sentence in there saying, psych, we're doing it.
I was saying before the
basically
show
it.
to you, Matt, that like I think the maybe even have like immunity from the CIA is like, you're going to have to lie on this one, and you've got all retroactive immunity if it comes out that you were lying in the future. So
Well, I mean, it's public information that Pfizer's got immunity. I mean, and the reason they have immunity is because our politicians aren't the one running the show here, guys. And you guys know that. The people that are funding their campaigns are the ones running their show. And who's at the top of that food chain? Pfizer. And the pharmaceutical
Among
companies.
just massive
the people that print the
corporations.
money,
Yeah, a whole bunch
basically.
of
Who's
other
making the
ones.
money? Where's the
Yeah.
money coming from? Because those are the people that are divvying out. Like the Federal Reserve
Well-
decides who gets the loans first.
Right. So you got maybe a company that might sound like Black Croc. Just a random word I thought of, and they get Federal Reserve loans just passed right along to them to buy up whatever they want. Companies like these then, will invest in PACs and super PACs, allowing politicians to get elected. I don't know if overturning Citizens United ruling would actually change this. It might. I'd be interested to hear what people thought about that. You guys are familiar with Citizens United?
Yeah.
Basically, super PACs, as long as they don't collude with the candidate, you can
say
donate
whatever
an
they
infinite
want,
number
yeah.
of money, and then they can say whatever they want. So what ends up happening is you get big corporations, they'll go to the candidate and say, are you the guy who's going to help our very important research save America? Because we're looking to donate a lot to help that happen. And then the candidate will be like, well, I don't know nothing about that, but rest assured, I'm a big fan of Pfizer, and them helping would be great if I won. And they go, we get it. They then go to a super PAC and say, here's $500 million. We want him. Super PAC can run a campaign for somebody. You have to be involved in it. They're going to make you win.
Well, Biden is planning to completely increase the medical industrial complex as part of the cancer moonshot plan. They're funding they're going to put so much money in to create federal, like basically a federally funded, federally affiliated medical research situation.
Wow, that sounds like a good idea, I guess.
Yeah.
Disturbing.
Yeah,
I
it's
understand.
very disturbing. Yeah. But that's like part of their big plan. They're going to increase that portion of the federal government, get a whole bunch of researchers on there to do, more stuff like this. All in the idea that they're going to cure cancer. I wonder how much cancer they make in labs, that they're then going to try and cure it.
Yeah, well, I mean, high acidity lymphatic system can cause the cells to duplicate at a rapid pace, which a lot of scientists call cancer. Like if you don't alkalize your lymphatic system, you can feed people sugar and keep making medicine, and then you're doubling down on the profit because not only are they buying your food, they're buying your medicine. And I can't stand it. I think that there's some value for Pfizer to be working on, I guess you'd call it gain of function in simulations and computer simulations, like with quantum computer.
That's different
you want
than the
millions
lab
and
thing.
billions of potential viral outcomes, and then millions and billions of potential digital cures of viruses in a computer. Keep it in the computer because outside, they can leak. They can
Right.
leak. Viruses can leak. You create something that you're afraid of becoming reality. You just created the thing that you were afraid of becoming reality. So I don't know. But I mean, I think they're doing it personally. I think they're just doing it for profit. I think that companies, because they're allowed to, if someone's allowed to do something, assume that they're going to. That if they're allowed to make a virus and a medicine for it and profit off that medicine, why would they not?
Well, and once a kind of technology or something like that is created, it will be used. It's just a matter of time.
The for-profit aspect of it is actually, I mean, it's terrifying. It's not, it's unethical to profit off of a I don't know. People profit off of food. They profit off of food. The food industry is for profit. So
Look, man,
They profit off everything.
I've never been all about laissez-faire capitalism like Luke is. He likes to come on and he just talks about how capitalism or free market solves everything, and this is corporatism and things like that. And the government actually intervenes to help major corporations win. It's not really capitalism, but I genuinely believe that if you have completely unrestricted markets, you're going to get seed oils. Like, this is my shout out to Luke Rudkowski. We Are Change. You're not here to defend yourself, but too bad. Unrestrained capitalism. A company is going to say, look, no one cares about seed oils. Only these weirdos like Luke Rudkowski are complaining about seed oils, and they're cheaper. Use those, and then everyone's going to start eating them. And if they get sick, they're not going to know why, and there's not going to be anything. They're going to keep buying these products.
You got a little stink bug right on your chest
Oh,
there,
it's coming
guy.
for me.
What really concerns me is the drug dealers that are making money off this system. Like Pfizer's a company that deals drugs. I mean, you might use a different term. They sell drugs to people, but like the tobacco industry used to have commercials for kids. They would target kids with Joe Camel, and like they want you to start early. And that was the Congress had to step in because unrestricted capitalism.
You're
you
right
allow
about
these drugs.
you're right about the drugs, though. And if you look at the data, the number of kids and teens that are on psych meds is incredibly high. And a lot of the kids that are on psych meds are like vulnerable kids, like kids in foster care. A lot of boys are on psych meds. And a lot of these kids are on medications that are not approved for their age group. And they're on multiple drug cocktails that are not approved for their age group as well.
I just want to say, stink bugs are lucky that they're kind of cute and doofy.
They're not
'Cause
cute.
I think they're tremendously
They're
cute.
creepy.
They're not creepy. They're just like they clap. You know that?
I don't like them.
They clap. I did it.
I don't kill them, but I also don't like them.
You kill them, they make a stinky smell.
I don't
but
want anything.
He was
to do
he
with
was
them.
on my monitor, but they clap. I'm not even kidding. I recorded a segment and then I was done and I looked up and there was a stink bug just going like this. Like I'm like, why is it?
What is that like?
cheering.
Some kind of mating call?
Probably
Right? I mean,
they were
aren't
into
they
it. They were
all
just
mating
like, yo, you
calls? That's
complain
like
about
what
Joe
they all
Biden so
do.
good.
They dance too. If you watch them, they'll like walk sideways and then walk sideways and keep doing it and like turn and shake and stuff. And
Well,
they'll
as
repeat
far
it.
as these pharmaceutical companies go, it's insane to me how incentivized doctors are to prescribe a certain medication. When I was in the military, I was a combat medic, so I was an infantry medic, and the first job I got when I got out of the military, I was working at a hospital, and these pharmaceutical reps would come in and wine and dine these doctors and provide all of us, even us medics, free lunches and such, and it's just insane to me how incentivized these doctors are to sell those specific products. And as far as the PACs go, they may not be able to deal directly with a candidate, but everybody knows, if it's 2 or 3 people removed, they get a hold of these candidates. And when Matt Gaetz was on the show just a few days ago, he told you guys, he said, the first thing you do when you become a congressman, when you get to D.C., is you sit down at a table with the people who are the leaders in the industry that you want to be on a committee of. And that just shows you right there. It proves to you how corrupt politics are, and it lets you know that these politicians that we get pissed off at and that we blame for all of these problems, they're not the ones running the show. It's these lobbyists and these PACs in the pharmaceutical industry. I mean, those guys are at the top of that food chain.
It's a lot of companies. The military industrial complex.
Absolutely.
You got Lockheed, you got Boeing, you got Halliburton. I mean, the list goes on. Northrop.
What you were saying too about hospitals and pharmaceutical reps. When I finished college, I worked for a small medical office, and I was like doing insurance paperwork. That was my job. But these pharmaceutical reps would come in like almost every day, and they would bring lunch for the entire office, and they'd just like spill sample cases full of their drugs all over the place. Yeah. And it's so weird. You're right. Like they used to target kids with tobacco advertising, and now like anytime you watch TV, there's half a dozen drug advertisements, and you listen to the list, and my son and I will joke about it. He'll be like, "Oh, this drug for depression, Mom, it cures your depression, but you might have increased thoughts of suicide." And it's like, oh, okay.
Isn't that the opposite of what it's supposed to do?
And you listen to it, and it's like, this will help you lose weight, but you might want to kill yourself. Or sleeping drugs, and it says like, you may forget that you got up and drove your car while you were on this drug, so be careful with that. And why are we seeing all of these advertisements for major pharmaceutical drugs that can make you think you're sleeping while actually you're driving your car?
Well, the best thing is when they don't actually tell you what the drug does.
Right, and they never do. They're like, ask your doctor, and you're like, about what?
Yeah, I remember seeing a commercial. I can't remember. Y'all have probably seen commercials like this where it's like an old guy and he's like looking sad, and it's like the color's gray, and it's like, feeling down? Maybe Clovestol is right for you. And then he's smiling, and then he's like walking through a park, and it's like, ask your doctor today about Clovestol. No, I don't know what you're selling me.
Yeah.
Like, and the drug names are so bizarre. Like, Successra.
Well, it's the reason they made pill boxes, because you need a pill to remedy the side effects from this pill, and then you need another pill to remedy the side effects from that pill, and it just goes on and on and on, and that's why they created pill boxes.
This one makes the pain go away, but also makes you want to die. This one makes you not want to die, but could also make you think about wanting to die. So then you have this one here that actually makes you forget what's going on, so that you don't remember wanting to die.
Side effect, it might cause pain. So back to the original pill, might have to double your prescription. You know, I think when the oxycodone epidemic in the 90s, late 90s, geez. This is the oxy, this is what you would call what kind of drug is that?
It was like an opiate. I remember like actually, like epidemic. I was trying to buy weed, and the guy didn't have any weed, and he was like, "Oh, here, take this." And it was an OxyContin, and I was out for like 2 days. I was like, "What the heck?"
And then so you had no idea what it was. You took it.
No, I was an idiot. Obviously.
Yeah, don't do that.
The way that nobody else should ever do that.
Especially today with fentanyl, people have been dying from overdosing on fentanyl that they think is like.
I don't get the whole fentanyl thing. Isn't it a prescription drug? Like, how did it get in all the street drugs? Like, how did this happen?
It's both prescription and street.
No,
China.
I'm telling you. So in 2012,
it is China.
I
had a vasectomy in 2012, and first time I ever took any kind of painkiller. So they gave me Percocet and Vicodin.
Oh man,
that's a lot of painkillers.
That's a lot of painkillers.
Percocet's powerful stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I took 2.
Woo!
And I flushed them down the toilet. And the reason I flushed them down the toilet is because it was like the best drunkenness you've ever had without the hangover.
Happened to me.
And I was like, this is dangerous. So I had to flush them down the toilet.
And it's in the freaking water supply because people are flushing them down.
Well, I don't know if that persists. Might get filtered out. But in 2014, I had a kidney stone. And there's nothing they can do for you. I mean, if it's like really bad, you might have to get surgery. But it wasn't really that bad. It hurts. And also, people don't understand. Let me tell you guys, it's inside your body. It's not like, you're going to the bathroom one day and you're like, there's something jammed up in, my schlong or something. Yeah. You're at the doctor's, and I'm like, it's either appendicitis or like they thought it was appendicitis. And then I went in like pain in my abdomen, and they were like, yeah, it's your kidneys released like a small rock. And they were like, nothing we can do about it. Here's a bottle of pills. And I took one, and you nailed it.
Felt awesome.
And I never took another one.
You wrote a song about it. At least that's one of the songs you were telling me about. It was that
No, I don't think
a guy searching for the fix. At least that was one of the.
That was written a long time before this.
That was wild.
But this is like the feeling you get from it was so intense that I did the same thing you did.
Yeah,
I didn't flush it down the toilet. I just threw it away.
But the point is that, so I flushed it down the toilet, and I just took Motrin, and guess what? I was absolutely fine. That's all I needed. So these doctors, they're just pushing this medication, just shoving it down your throat.
Well, it's not only the medication; it's surgery. It's like at one point, I hurt my back, like after my son was born, and I saw 2 doctors, and they were like, "You need back surgery," and I was like, "No, no, I do not need back surgery."
Well, look at Hulk Hogan; he's paralyzed now,
right?
Yeah, we were just talking about it before the show. Hulk Hogan's paralyzed.
I had a doctor. I went in because I was having trouble sleeping, and she prescribed me sleeping pills, which then gave me nightmares, and I also couldn't sleep. And then I bought new pillows. Like I literally bought new pillows, and I didn't have an issue ever after that.
You know, the reason I brought up the opiate crisis, and some people call it an epidemic, because you see what the Sackler family did to humanity for profit in the 90s and in the 2000s?
That was crazy.
So that's the example of what pharmaceutical
and their name
companies
is all over everything.
I know. You would think at this point people would realize, oh, that family is demonic. I'm not like a good and evil kind of guy. I'm not that binary. But when you see pharmaceutical companies eradicating the population for profit, I got to wonder if maybe they're evil or
They're
doing
the
something
oxy
wrong.
people, right? Didn't
yeah,
they
the
do the
oxycodone.
oxy
They
people?
created
Yeah.
it. To maybe oxytocin. It's supposed to be like a feel-good chemical, like oxy.
Oh, because oxytocin is like
I think that's why they named it that.
It's like the orgasm
manipulation tactics
thing.
So
yeah.
you would think people would be so awakened to the pharmaceutical company's attempt at profits that they would be eye-opening and gazing at Pfizer right now, like with a microscope.
Well, what's weird is they came down so hard on tobacco, right? But they don't come down. They like praise the pharmaceutical industry for all that they're doing for humanity, and the pharmaceutical industry is getting all this federal funding.
Hey, breathing and burning smoke obviously is bad for you, so that's an easy target.
We're paying for that stuff with like all the COVID tests and all that crap.
Considering we're ragging on these big pharmaceuticals, let's jump to this story from Fox News. Zachary Levy sparks Twitter controversy over claim that Pfizer is a danger to the world. Hardcore agree. I love this. Here's the tweet. Lyndon Wood said, "Do you agree or not that Pfizer is a real danger to the world?" And he said, "Hardcore agree." And liberals went nuts. Okay, one less movie ticket to spend money on. Stupid. Seriously, guy? Like he didn't like a massive multinational pharmaceutical corporation that's been fined some of the largest fines in history, 2.3 billion plus another 430 million from 5 years prior. They didn't learn their lesson. They got fined like 200 million, and I think it was in 2001 or something like that. They got fined 430 million in 2004. Then they got fined again in 2009, and it was $2.3 billion. And my question is, at a certain point, why don't you just shut them down? You're committing crimes over and over again. You're done. When a human being commits a crime, we say we take you from your job. Your job is no longer being done. We put you in a box. We close it. You can't go out.
Well,
with these corporations,
some people.
Well, it depends on the severity of the crime.
Sure.
But if we're talking about a crime against humanity on the scale of $2.3 billion fine because they were selling I can't remember exactly what they were doing, but they were like misleading the public as to what their drugs were doing or something like that.
Well, that lets you know how crooked it is, because at my restaurant, if there was case after case after case after case of people getting sick after eating at my restaurant, I'd be shut down, and there'd be no question about it.
If you ran a company, if you were in a restaurant and that restaurant was dealing drugs out of the back door, they would shut it down, every employee fired. I mean, it's like, sorry, this company's committing crimes.
That's right.
And you know what it could be? It could be one manager who's been doing it, and they shut the thing down. And they say, no, this is a criminal enterprise. And then the people are just like, I don't know, man, I just make burgers. And like, too bad, you lose your job. But when a pharmaceutical company does it, this is the reality of the world. They're too big to fail. So the government says, just give us a cut of the profit and keep doing what you're doing.
So for the record, Pfizer got fined $2.3 billion for misbranding Bextra, with the drug Bextra, with the intent to defraud or mislead. They attempt, essentially, according to
Bextra for?
Justicegov. I'm not sure what it was for.
Hold on, is that the 2.3 billion one?
2.3 billion. They were selling it off-label, meaning that they didn't get FDA approval for the things they were selling it for. They had only had approval for the original thing, and the FDA had declined to give it approval for the things that they were selling it for off the label, according to Justice.gov. Big mishandling of public trust.
There's also a situation where there's this drug Lupron that's used for like prostate cancer and things like this, and it's being used off label as a drug to give children to block puberty for gender dysphoria. And it's also used for precocious puberty in some cases, but it's only recommended for 3 months at a time. And so it's not approved for, it's not FDA approved for use in children for more than 3 months for this extra purpose, this gender dysphoria purpose. But no one says anything about it, and Lupron's sales continue to increase. They don't recommend the drug for that purpose, but they certainly just keep taking the money. This company, AbbVie, which makes a ton of drugs.
This is how it works with big corporations. Typically, the government just says, look, give us our cut and you can keep doing it. A company does something that's illegal, makes $10 million. FTC says it's a $5 million fine, sir. And they go, oh, geez, I guess I got to pay you. Have a nice day. And they put $5 million in their pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I should specify, it says here that the FDA, when it came to Bextra, specifically declined to approve. So I think that they didn't say this is bad. I think they just didn't give it an approval, but they went ahead and used it anyway.
Zachary Levy, is it Levi? Is it Levy? Is it Levy?
Don't know.
I'll call him Levy. He was getting ragged on and attacked by the left. So he tweeted just one example of what I'm referring to, and it's at justice.gov, the largest, largest healthcare fraud settlement in history. It's not anymore. I think there's GlaxoSmithKline's now the biggest. Oh. Yeah, $3 billion something. But and that was later on. But they're still attacking this guy over it. It's like, you're not going to go see Shazam next. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to buy 2 tickets to Shazam, and if nobody takes it, just pay for it. I'm gonna give the DC Universe, Warner Brothers money, because they got a guy leading a movie who didn't say anything anti-vax, just said, hey man, be wary of these massive multinational corporations, they're dangerous. I respect that, and that's the kind of marketing I think movies should be all about. So I'll buy two tickets. I'll buy two tickets for you.
Thanks.
You can have both seats.
I won't see it, but yeah, okay. Oh, maybe I will then.
Well, we got tickets to go. No, we don't have tickets. We have tickets to see Quantumania. I really do want to see. It's Shazam: Fury of the Gods. I'm really excited. The first Shazam was awesome.
I don't know anything about Shazam.
It's a DC superhero. Billy Batson's a little kid. Wizard gives him the power of Shazam. It's a bunch of gods.
Shazam, is that like some
the wisdom
sort
of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, something I don't know.
He's fast like lightning.
So he's a little kid, and then he yells Shazam and gets struck by lightning, and then turns into a big, huge dude. Mm-hmm. And it's fun and funny. It was like the only DC movie that was actually a bit irreverent.
I like the funny ones. That's why I liked Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
It was funny.
You haven't seen Shazam? You'll like it.
No. Well, I'll check it out.
It's fun.
Can I take my kid? Probably.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
He'll
Super
be
fair.
like, oh, nice. We're going to see something I like.
But you can see the first one. The first one's out.
Okay.
It was like the best performing DC movie, I think, because they're all garbage. This one actually was good. And the second one's coming out. And all these liberals are yelling like 1 month before the movie comes out, this guy's an anti-vaxxer. And it's like, he didn't say any of that. You guys are nuts.
Well, the thing is, like, these Hollywood people, they need you all to comply with their viewpoint or else they're going to yell at you. And it's like, there's no reason to comply with anyone's viewpoint. Think for yourself every single time. I mean, obviously.
It's like making a song. This is why the Beatles were so great. John and Paul did not work in lockstep. They didn't sing harmonics of their words. They sang 2 totally different songs together to create a mega song. And we need more of that.
Who
with
do you think
arguments.
was better, John or Paul?
John.
Really?
I mean, John Lennon's one of my ultimate personal top 3 heroes.
Well, here's the
George
reality.
Washington and Einstein, probably.
Paul was poppy. John Lennon was cool. And so together, that was a powerful
That was
force.
the force.
John's willing to speak
Cool
out
and
against
poppy.
the military-industrial
Yeah.
complex before it was cool.
Yeah, I mean,
he had the cool glasses.
Think about like Paul's songs with like, what was that one he wrote years ago?
Which one? He's written
everything's gonna
so
be
many.
all right.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's all like super
It is
poppy.
very poppy.
Yeah, he was the pop star of the band.
And
for
John
sure.
Lennon is all like, Vietnam is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Kids are getting blown
Dark,
up.
angry, got beat up when he was a kid, like just a rough life. Love that guy. Do you know what? I want to add some nuance to what Zachary was saying about Pfizer being evil. I think that what happens is unfettered drug dealers are dangerous or evil. Not all, because marijuana is a different beast. Caffeine is a different beast. They're both drugs, THC and caffeine.
Yeah, but unfettered, it's really bad. I mean, like,
True.
there's unfettered marijuana sales in New York City right now. You can't walk down the street without smelling it. Like, every bodega has unregulated marijuana sales. You don't have any idea what is being purchased or what is being sold. You don't have to show ID. There's absolutely no regulation. And the city is trying to shut it down now and be like, no, we're only going to give weed licenses to people who were formerly incarcerated or, on drug charges. But it's been like over a year. You can't tell the bodegas they have to stop selling loose pre-rolled joints now. They're not going to. And
Yeah.
it's unregulated, it's unfettered, and it's not a good situation.
Yeah, Pfizer's a result of an unfettered,
Yeah.
a system where they can have immunity. Like Moderna's right there in the shadows. If you want to take down, spend the next 10 years taking down Pfizer, Moderna is next, and it's going to be the exact same problem.
It blows my mind that there's regular people on Twitter defending Pfizer. I can't believe that. I mean, it's the
Are
same.
there-
It's
are
the
they
same.
regular people?
Well, yeah, probably not. But it's the same cycle when it comes to these pharmaceutical companies. It's create a medicine or a vaccine or whatever, cause injuries, destroy lives, make $30 billion, fine $3 billion, rinse and repeat.
Well, that's the thing I was saying about what we were just reading with the off-label, the intentional misleading. These are companies that, if you pull up, there's the Wikipedia list of all of the crimes committed by these corporations. So the real issue for me is these people aren't doctors. I mean, they're technically doctors, but you have a doctor that you talk to when you're like, yo, I got a bum knee. They know your medical history. They know your family. If you get a good one, you've had them for a long time. The problem is when, you mentioned earlier, they go and lobby the doctors and they say, I told this story earlier. I was skating when I was like 16 and I hit my knee and I hurt it and I'm like, I better get it checked out. Doctor says, nah, it's a sprain or a strain or something. You're fine here. And then he handed me a whole bunch of sample packets of an anti-inflammatory steroid, methylprednisolone, I think it was.
My goodness.
And he was like, just take a couple of these. And they were sample packs. And he just threw them at me. And then I was like, whatever you say, doc. And I'm like,
My doctor did that with birth control pills.
Like in little sample packs?
Yeah, like a ton of them. Like, here, just take all these.
You know, this was my family's doctor.
And when I was 16.
And what ended up happening is I was like, okay. So he's like, I took a couple of them. And then I didn't notice anything. And the next day I was like, I don't know, I just didn't take them. And then I ended up just getting better because I was a kid who,
Kids get
I banged my knee. I was skating, I fell, hit my knee, and I couldn't bend it. And so it like swole up or something. And it turned out to be nothing legitimately serious or anything like that. But I just kind of, I don't know, man. It's kind of weird to me. You got to make sure you got a good trusted doctor. It's just that you got to make sure that when they hand you some like samples or whatever, you ask them, what does it do? Why do I need it? And if they can't answer and they're like, well, it was given to me, then maybe you got a salesman and not a doctor. So find someone who can give you good advice and talk to you about it. But actually, Matt, I want to talk to you about what you went through because we're talking about all the big pharma stuff. But I'm curious, when all the lockdowns happened, there were a handful of businesses that stood up and said no. What you ran one of these businesses that the government tried to shut down. You resisted, and the first thing I just want to say is this is a story that I'm excited for you to tell because we've long told people nonviolent civil disobedience, stand up for what you believe in, file the lawsuits, file the complaints, make them work for their oppression or whatever, and you will win. And you won. They tried to shut you down. They hurt your business. They hurt you. But then in the end, you ended up winning out. So let's tell us exactly what went down with your business, how that started.
Yeah, well, so as soon as COVID started, I was actually at the time I was still working as an intelligence analyst for the military, just to supplement my income. Because when you start a restaurant, you're not off to the races. Automatically making money. So when COVID happened in March of 2020, they shut my entire program down that I was working on. And I was working on a pretty intense, a pretty serious program, and that had a lot of national security implications. So when they sent all of us home and they shut the entire skiff down, I paid attention. And I said, well, this must be something serious. This must be a virus that's going to kill half the world like they're saying. So I took it serious. And I listened to the recommendations of, at that time, Governor Northam, and I shut my restaurant down, took a step back because I wanted to be responsible and didn't want to put my customers in harm's way. Nobody knew at that time what was going on. So it wasn't long after that, maybe a month or so, that I started to realize something weird was going on. And then 3 months after, June of 2020, Governor Northam said, okay, restaurants, you can open back up, but under these provisions. And that's when it clicked. I said, wait a minute. This is more about control than it is our health and safety. And it was because they put mandates in place like you have to wear a mask when you walk in the restaurant, but as soon as you sit down, somehow you're safe from COVID. And nobody's allowed to sit at my bar, but I can pull the table up to the bar and you can sit there. And my bartender couldn't hand a drink over the bar. My bartender had to walk around the bar and serve it to the person side by side. Just very arbitrary, mandates that made absolutely no sense. And so, like I said, I spent my entire adult life fighting dictatorships overseas, and I wasn't going to come home and allow a dictatorship to rule. So I did the only thing I could do, and that was fight back by not complying, civil disobedience. And I kind of did that kind of under the radar at first. I didn't announce it. My customers just knew that when they came to Gourmelts, they were walking into what America used to be pre-COVID. They were walking into freedom.
A safe space.
A safe space. There you
Safe
go.
space.
And I operated that way actually from June of 2020 to January of 2021. I would get a call from the health department maybe once a month or so, and they would say, "Hey Matt, we got a call from one of your customers that said you're not following COVID mandates," and I would never confirm or deny it. And at that time, the health inspectors, they weren't allowed to come out and inspect, so none of them ever came out to my restaurant. So I would just say, "Oh, well, thanks for the call. I appreciate that." And they would just say, "Oh, yeah, just follow COVID mandates." And I'd be like, "Oh, okay, cool, whatever." And it went like that until January 2021. Now, what happened in January was Biden took office. And when he took office, as you guys know, he started firing off all of these executive orders. One of those executive orders mandated OSHA come out in conjunction with local health departments and shut down restaurants specifically that weren't following COVID mandates. And that's when I got my first visit from the health department and OSHA. And they said, "Hey, Matt, you're not following COVID mandates." And I said, no, I'm not. I said, because they don't make any sense. I said, if you can make them make sense to me, common sense, because I'm all about common sense. I've never been a very political guy. I've never trusted politicians on either side of the aisle, to be honest with you. And I just want things to make sense. And what he told me is really what set the wheels in motion. He said, "Well, Matt, it doesn't have to make sense. The governor said you have to do it, so you have to do it." And at that point, I said, absolutely not. This is not how things work in America. And he said, "Well, we'll come back and we'll suspend your health department license." And I said, "Well, you do what you have to do, but I'm going to do what I know I have to do. And that is afford my customers their constitutional rights." And at that point, I told him, I said, "At this point, you are trespassing, so if you don't leave my property, I'll have you removed." And he left, but he made good on his promise, and he came back about 2 weeks later, served me with the suspension papers, suspended my health department license. And in the state of Virginia, if your health department license is suspended, your alcohol license, your ABC license, is automatically suspended. So I lost both of those that day. And I continued to operate business as usual. I didn't comply. And at that point, I made a video, and I put it out to the public what was going on, and I let them know that I would not be complying. And the main reason is because, like I said before, I spent a lot of my time, a lot of my adult life fighting overseas. And I have a lot of brothers that went overseas with me and didn't make it back. A lot of guys that died over there. And their kids are growing up right now here in the United States of America because they felt that America was more important than their life. So if I'm not willing to put my livelihood on the line, when those guys were willing to put their life on the line, then what kind of man am I? And my wife and I, we always teach our kids to do what's right, no matter what the personal cost is to them. So how in the hell are we going to teach them that if we're not willing to do the same thing ourselves? So those are the main reasons why I fought back. And because I did that, they sued me. Governor Northam sued me, and he took me to court and tried to shut my business down. But I didn't back down. And it was overwhelming, the response from the community that showed up after that. I mean, I had people coming from across the nation to support me. I had one guy come all the way, I remember, from Iowa. Now, my restaurant, Gourmelts, is right off of Interstate 95 in Virginia, not even a mile from the exit. So it's very convenient. So I get a lot of people that come by all the time just passing through. So this guy came up to me, and he said, "Hey, I'm from Iowa." And I said, "Well, you just passing through or what?" And he said, "Nope, I flew out here just to come to your restaurant and shake your hand and look you in the eye and thank you for what you were doing." And he started crying. And that right there, man, it got me. It let me know at that point that I was doing the right thing. Because when you make a decision like my wife and I made, which was to fight back, you have no idea which way it's going to go. We thought it was going to be the end of our business. We thought it was going to be the end of everything we worked our entire life for. But the community showed up and they supported us, and we had a line out the door from open to close. And by 7 p.m., we had no food left.
Wow.
All we had was bread. And people were walking up to the register saying, give me a piece of bread and I'll pay full price for it.
Wow, it's amazing.
And it blew my mind. And we continued to fight back. And I reached out to my Republican representatives in Virginia because they're supposed to be conservative patriots that stand for the Constitution. And all I was doing was standing for the Constitution, standing for my customers' constitutional rights. And I was very disappointed that none of my Republican representatives reached back out to me. And so, long story short, I said, how do I get rid of these scumbags? How do I make sure? Because they run around saying Democrats are ruining the country, and they are. But these Republicans that are sitting on their hands, not willing to step up and fight for you and me, they're no better than those Democrats. That's the establishment we talk about. The uniparty is absolutely real.
In the end, you end up, you got back your liquor license, your health license, and all that stuff?
Well, so what happened is we go to court with the health department, and I beat the health department in court. I proved that these mandates were in fact unconstitutional, and they had to give me my health department license back.
Good.
So the next step was the ABC. We go before the ABC board to get my ABC license back, and we thought it would be cut and dry, open and shut. Hey, you took my ABC license only because the Virginia Department of Health took my health department license. Well, we beat them in court, and they had to give me that license back. So now, in turn, you should have to give me my ABC license back. Makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's a very liberal ABC board. Now, at this time, we had a change of governors in Virginia. So Governor Youngkin took over. So now, Ralph Northam is no longer the governor. We got a Republican governor, Republican lieutenant governor, and Republican attorney general. So I go before the ABC board, and it's a very liberal ABC board. And what they said was, in a nutshell, basically was, Matt, it doesn't matter that you beat the Department of Health, and that's the only reason we took your license. It doesn't matter that the reason they took it was unconstitutional. All that matters is we took it, and you didn't comply. And that word comply kept coming up. And they said, so for that reason, we're not going to give you your license back. And I said, well, roger that, then I don't need a license. And I continued to sell alcohol without it.
Wow.
And I immediately, as soon as Glenn Youngkin took office, I reached out to him, and I heard nothing back from him.
We all saw the video where you're filming and the ABC guys come in and the cops come in and they're raiding and looting your private property of alcohol. Mm-hmm. So what finally happened? What is this?
Yeah, well, the reason they came out and raided my place is because, like I said, I was reaching out to the governor since he took office, and by that time, I announced my run for state senate to come crush the establishment. And Republican leadership, they don't like when a Republican candidate speaks out against other Republicans. But I have no idea why. You should speak out against any politician that's not doing their job. So for that reason, they didn't reach out and help me. They left me to the wolves. And I heard nothing back from the governor's office or the attorney general's office until December 2nd of 2022, this past December, when the Virginia State Police and the Virginia ABC agents came and raided my restaurant and took every drop of alcohol out of my restaurant.
That's where you're at right now? What?
Well, so that's the viral video that you guys saw. And then, so what happened after that is we were going back and forth, and they were trying to settle with me, but I've always stayed strong in my stance in that I will not settle with you. I didn't do anything illegal. I didn't do anything wrong.
What do they want? What kind of settle do they want at this point? I mean, the whole thing's over.
Yeah, well, so, they've always, they were offering me, hey, Matt, instead of 90 days of suspension and a $15,000 fine or whatever it was, no suspension of your license, and just give us $2,000.
Oh, my goodness.
And
so
we'll
it's
make it go away.
A little extortion.
A little shakedown.
Yeah.
And, exactly.
Wow.
And it's all about them
That's
wanting
bogus.
to get a win, and that's it. And so I said, listen, I stood strong. Hey, no settlement at all. And they kept coming back with settlement offers. I said, you know what? I will settle with you. I said, I'll pay you $17.76. And I was hoping like hell they took that just to remind them of freedom.
This is like Michael Corleone when he says, my offer is this, nothing.
That's right. So, of course, they didn't take it. And I said, well, listen, man, you guys aren't getting a dime from me. I am not going to serve a suspension. And I'll tell you what, after I reopen my restaurant for Christmas, because I'll be closed for Christmas, when I reopen after Christmas, I'm going to open my bar back up, and I'm going to sell alcohol, and I'm operating business as usual. And magically, before I close for Christmas, December 23rd, and I told him, I said, hey, listen, if Glenn Youngkin and the rest of the Republican leadership in Virginia, if you guys are ready for the political shitstorm that follows you arresting a small business owner who is also a veteran that fought for his country, if you're ready for that political shitstorm, I'm ready to go to jail. Because a lot of my brothers were ready to die for this country, and they did. So I've been ready to die for my country since I was 17 years old. So I'm damn sure ready to go to jail for my country. So at that point, it was a Mexican standoff, man, and they folded. December 23rd, they gave me all of my alcohol back. They gave me my ABC license back, and I didn't pay a dime.
When did we go down there? What was that? That was before this, right?
That was before that. So
Yeah.
you remember, we were planning a party.
Right.
Yeah. So I told you, I said, hey, Tim, this is my plan. I said, regardless of what happens, the day we open after Christmas, we're going to be selling alcohol, man. Let's throw a party down here. And we were planning that.
Yeah.
And magically, they said, you know what, never mind. They tapped out and they said,
They brought your booze back.
December 23rd, you get everything back. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, you would have made them look so bad.
Yeah.
I mean, you made him look bad and good.
Yeah, very.
What
he's
happened
very
like
good.
in the early days when you were resisting the initial stuff? What was the process? Day one, you didn't shut down. Were they like fining you every day, and then in retrospect they just dismissed the fines? What was happening day to day? 'Cause
Yeah.
I feel other people are going through this.
Yeah, I mean, it was so I was fined over $70,000 by OSHA for having an unsafe work environment.
Was that a day by day fine that added up to
It was
70?
just arbitrary fines that they just made up. So like they sent me this piece of paper that said, "Oh, hey Matt, for not making people wear a mask, we're fining you $20,000. For not putting up plexiglass, we're fining you $35,000 or whatever it was. Where the hell did you get that? Where'd you get those numbers from? Where you just made them up?
And where'd you get these regulations?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
they're totally arbitrary.
Yeah.
Plexiglass is going to do something.
Yeah, it's just insane. So when that OSHA inspector actually came out to my restaurant, he said, you got to put plexiglass up. I said, okay, I want to know the regulation. How wide does the plexiglass have to be? And he said, well, actually, in the regulation, there's nothing that says how wide it has to be. I said, well, so you're telling me if I put a 1-inch strip of plexiglass up, I'm technically in compliance? And he said, well, technically, yeah. And I said, listen, man, take your OSHA hat off for 1 second and just talk to me man to man. Does that make any sense to you? And again, he said, Matt, it doesn't have to make sense. That's what they said, so you have to do it. And
Psychotic.
That's
that's
not
it.
how
Completely
the American
insane.
government is supposed to work.
that's how they work.
That's
how
not
they do it. And
not
so
what we signed up for.
what my story proves, what it proves is that if you stand up and you fight back, no matter how much they try to back you into a corner and bully you, if we stand together, because I wouldn't have won this by myself. If it was just me, Matt Strickland, fighting, I'd be in prison right now. But the people of America stood with me from across the nation. I mean, they came out of the woodworks and supported me. And the only thing that politicians, the only thing that they answer to is political pressure. And I mean, everybody knows Glenn Youngkin is trying to run for president now. And so they inundated his office with emails and phone calls. He couldn't make a social media post without somebody jumping on his post saying, hey, what about Matt Strickland? What about Gore Meltz? And they caved to that political pressure. They didn't want to help me because I stand up against not only Democrats, but Republicans also. But the political pressure was enough from across the nation that they had no choice but to act.
I think part of what's great about the story is too, you were willing to comply in the early days, in the very beginning, when you didn't know if it was airborne Ebola, where people were their skin was gonna start melting off. You didn't know, and you were ready to make the sacrifice for the betterment of the people. And then when the evidence starts coming in, then it's like, okay, now realism and common sense takes over, as it did in the beginning too. I think that's why I was willing to shut down for 2 weeks to slow the spread.
But
Yeah.
on top of that, it's you'd walk into a restaurant, and you'd walk in the front door, and they would say, "Please put on a mask." You'd say, "Okay," you put it on. They'd hand you one.
Right.
You'd wear it, and they say, "Now the chair right next to you, please sit and take the mask off."
Right.
Then you take it off, throw it in the garbage.
And then you're supposed to
Makes
put
no
it back
sense.
on to walk to the bathroom. Do you remember this? You were supposed to put it back on to
we
walk
had, we
to the
had a
bathroom.
we had a plan here. We never got around to because in West Virginia it was fairly lax, and then they ended up lifting it. But what we wanted to do was get full hazmat suits.
Nice.
Walk in, sit down, take the full suit off. Or like go to your table, take the full suit off, place it on the chair next to you, sit down, order food, and then go, I'm going to run to the bathroom real quick. Put the full suit back on, zip it up, and then walk slowly and awkwardly just to make the point.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
It's like there's that comic where the person's walking and the COVID virus hits them in the face, and then it shows them sitting down with like a
and
check
it just
mark.
goes right over
and it's,
their
yeah, right over their head. Exactly.
Well,
That
and it's
explains
interesting too how you talk about how it was June 2020 that they said you could open your restaurant again, and they hit you with all of these arbitrary restrictions of what you had to do in your restaurant. That's of course after George Floyd was killed. And it was after the entire government of all the blue states decided that you can't get COVID if you're protesting for Black Lives Matter, but you can get COVID if you go to a restaurant that doesn't have plexiglass.
You know what you should have done? You should have just put up a BLM flag, like
And a
they
pride
want you
flag,
to.
and then you would have.
And then they'd say, you know what, you're good, no fine for you.
They would have been
safe.
okay with that. Yeah.
I mean, it's funny you guys say that because, of course, I was trashed online for not following COVID mandates, and people who have never met me a day in my life were saying all kinds of things about me. And somehow, just because I didn't make people wear a mask when they walked into my restaurant, I was racist.
I
That
knew
was the
that was
crazy
coming.
thing too. It's always racist. Whatever
Always.
when you don't comply, when you don't just do what you're told, then
It's-
you're racist.
it
As
ki-
though there's all these, as though there's no black people who want to stand up for their rights.
It feels like aliens are trying to control us, but don't quite understand humans. Like, well, humans don't like being called racist, so no matter what they do, call it racist. Is like, and really, it's not aliens; it's children. It's you know what the best part about the internet is? On the internet, you're not aware you're arguing with a 14-year-old.
Yeah.
They're adult men in their 40s who work for major news outlets who go on Twitter, and there's an account called Trump MAGA 300, and it'll be a picture of Trump going like, yeah, and then it'll say something like, you're stupid, your politics are bad, and they'll be like, who is this guy? You can't say that to me, and it's like a 14-year-old kid who's just laughing, they have no idea what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Or he's like, it could even be 11. Could be like
Right.
an 11-year-old kid.
It could be my kid.
Yep, just goofing off on the internet. Don't even care. These people take it so seriously.
Oh, I
This
know.
is
I mean,
nonsense.
I had one of my the DDM on my team in Iraq, the sniper. He when we'd have downtime, he'd go on and play Call of Duty, and I remember when he told me one morning he was arguing with like a 12-year-old on Call of Duty who he showed me the clip. He was like, "Look at this dude. Look what he's saying, man. You suck. You have no idea what real combat is. You don't know how to shoot." That's what the kid was saying to him. The dude is a sniper. You know what I mean?
Looking back over the last couple of years for yourself, is there anything that you would have done or would have changed in the process? I know it seems to have turned out extremely well, but for people in the future that are willing to stand up, and create civil disobedience,
Yeah.
Is there anything that you can help with?
Yeah, well, first of all, what I would have done earlier is pay attention to politics. I did not pay attention to politics like I do now, and I'm running for state senate now. And if anybody wants to follow my journey on that, they can follow me on social media at Matt4VA. And my website's matt4va.com if you want to see how that turns out. But I'm ashamed to say, and I was telling you guys this before the show, the first time I ever voted was in 2020. And the reason for that is because I don't trust politicians on either side of the aisle. And so pay attention to politics, especially on the state level, because that's where you make your money. But as far as fighting against COVID mandates and such, I truly believe it'll happen again. Maybe not in the same shape and form that it happened this last time, but the government trying to take control of our rights. I mean, so one of the mandates in Virginia was you weren't allowed to leave your house between the hours of midnight and 5 a.m. How is that curbing COVID? How does that do anything for COVID?
That's when
a guy
COVID
was
is
surfing.
active.
Remember the
COVID
guy on
is-
the beach or whatever?
Oh, he was arrested for surfing by himself.
Remember the video where the guy's jogging
Yes.
on the beach and the cop chases after him, but then the jogger just speeds up
Yes.
and just bolts,
Yeah.
and the cop can't catch him?
It's just insane.
That sounds more like an anti-rioting thing.
It
Midnight
just
to
makes
5
no
a.m.
sense. So what I would say is what you need to do the next time something doesn't feel right is trust your gut. And you need to stand up and you need to fight back from the beginning. And not only that, everybody needs to support you, especially small business owners. You would be surprised how many restaurateurs in the state of Virginia I had call me as soon as they heard about my story. And they would say, "Hey, Matt, thank you so much for standing up and doing what you're doing. I'm totally behind you 100%. What can I do to support you?" And I would tell each and every one of them, if you believe in what I'm doing, the best thing you can do to support me is do the same thing. And they would all say the same thing.
They wouldn't do it.
Not me.
But I don't want the health department breathing down my neck, man. And I said, listen, with that attitude, they're going to be breathing down your neck the rest of your life, man.
Well, wasn't that the shocking thing too? Was how many people just did comply? It was. I found that so stunning how many Americans just sucked it up and did what they were told, and I found that extremely disappointing for my fellow countrymen to watch them just like capitulate and do what the government told them to do. It's like that's not what we're founded on. We're founded on telling the government exactly that we're not going to do what they tell us to.
I feel like video games has made people really willing to comply because in a game there's a structure and a set of rules that you cannot bypass. You're stuck within this realm
video
of like
games, drugs.
if then, but in reality you have complete freedom. You can go anywhere, see anything, interact with anything.
I just started
Well, but I
watching.
think there's
Have you guys seen 1883?
Negative.
I haven't seen Yellowstone, but we were having dinner and everyone's like, "You got to watch 1883." So I watched
heard
a few
about that
episodes.
too.
And there's this really great scene where there's like it's a bunch of German people and they're trying to get to Oregon 'cause it's paradise they hear, and they got to cross a river, and so the marshal guy or whatever his name is, he's like, "You guys swim in Germany?" I was like, "No, it's illegal." And he's like, "It's illegal to swim in Germany?" And then he gets angry and he's like, "Everything." I don't think he says Germany. He says it's illegal to swim where I'm from. He's like, "Everything is illegal where I'm from." He's like, "That's why we're leaving." And it's crazy to think about that. That's for a lot of people that were leaving Europe and coming to emptiness, conflict, and death. It was because it was better than having the government to live with the government's boot on your neck.
I actually just showed my son the other night the movie Brazil. You remember that movie?
What's that one?
I think it's Terry Gilliam. That's a person, right? I'm pretty sure it's his movie, but it's about this guy who works for the government, and it's just all red tape and bureaucracy. And all he does, he has his dreams, and he like lives in a fantasy kind of. But at the end, at a certain point, I won't give it away, but he ends up sort of outside of the city. He ends up away from the paperwork, and you just see these mountains, and you're just. It's like you can finally breathe watching the movie. We're doing a whole dystopia thing, right? Like he's reading 1984. We're gonna do all of it, Fahrenheit 451. But the other thing that you were talking about in terms of the COVID restrictions and how that was used, and these restaurateurs are going to have the government breathing down their necks the rest of their lives. There's a lot of officials around the world, not necessarily in the U.S., although I think probably in the Biden administration there are, who see a lot of this COVID lockdowns and restrictions almost as a blueprint of how they can coerce the population into submitting to climate change mitigation measures. The German health minister was talking about this a year ago, and I think Jack Posobiec was fact-checked for saying that this was happening, but it actually was happening. And they say things like, the kind of restrictions that we used for COVID, we can ask people to do that to mitigate climate change. We can ask corporations to tell their workers to work from home. We can ask them not to take business trips, not to travel as much as they would like to curb this climate thing. So yeah, they're going to use these same methods over again. They're going to use it for whatever new crisis they come up with. And what we see from the left, what we see from Democrats is a willingness and insistence to rule us based on crises.
I don't
it's
even know
always
if
a crisis.
I wouldn't even consider it the left. It's just people that are with their head down, like you're saying, half the governments of the Republicans.
That makes sense too. But that's the methodology. Call it a crisis and then use it to control and manipulate people.
Let's pull up this story.
Maybe would be one.
Let's pull this story from Daily Mail. Biden will finally lift COVID emergencies on May 11th after more than 3 years. White House urges 14-week drawdown to deal with Title 42 at the border, student loans, and hospitals. So that's it. He's finally putting an end to the COVID-19 national emergency. we've been out of the pandemic for a while. Restrictions have been lifted.
Biden said the pandemic was over when he toured the Detroit Auto Show in September.
Right.
And then the White House was like, no, it's not. It's not over.
No, it's over now. Biden's ending. He's ending it. It's it. There it is.
It's over in May.
There it is.
He says the emergency's over in 4 months. And you're like, whoa, wait. How can you be sure? I thought we were an emergency. No, the emergency's over. Okay.
Well, it's a 14-week drawdown.
Okay, good.
That's what it is.
It's totally stupid.
Yeah, according to Biden, the pandemic is over. It ended last year.
Well, there we go, everybody. Congratulations. We did it. We can go back to doing everything. But you know what I noticed? I love the casino out here. It's the Hollywood casino. When we first moved out here, craziest thing. Every table game had plexiglass, like you were talking about, Matt. They got to put up the plexiglass, and you weren't allowed to touch any cards. This is a gambler's dream. Because that means when you're playing a table game, maybe you're playing, let's say, Mississippi. You guys ever play Mississippi Stud? Here's how the game works. Dealer gives you 2 cards. There are 3 cards on the board that everybody shares, and you got to pay every time you want to see the next card, hoping that you get a good enough hand to win your bet. It's like if you get a pair of jacks or better, you win money. If you know what your cards, the cards the other players have, your odds increase. So you go to the casino, and then everybody's forced to show their cards. It's funny to me. Like I don't understand.
It's like you're teaching a kid how to play. That's how you teach a kid to play. So everyone shows their cards.
I'm like all the gamblers, right? But you're walking in, you're looking
Right.
down, and you're like, okay, this guy's got an ace, I got an ace, there's no ace on the board, I fold. And so these businesses were complying with policies that made no sense, stopped nothing, hurt them substantially, but everybody was just for it. But here's the point I wanted to bring up. Aside from that insanity, they shut down large portions of the casino, and they've never reopened them.
Really?
Never.
Why not?
And I think, for whatever reason, nobody wants to work. So there's a horse track there. And we went out, not this weekend, but the previous weekend, we went to the horse races. It's so much fun. You guys ever go to the horse races?
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
before.
Oh,
Yeah,
they're
you-
a blast.
Yeah, you like they have a horse race every 15 minutes, and it's a minute long thing. But you get some food, you get a beer, whatever. You bet $1 on the horse with the silliest name, and then you hope it wins, and then you win like $1.50 or something. Maybe
It's a good time.
It's a good time. It's fun. It's silly.
It's outdoor.
And but it's outdoor, and so we went there, and it was funny because we were there with Shane Cashman and Nancy, his wife, and he bet on this one horse called what was it called? Like American Pride or something, or American Patriot. And when we were looking at the horses going around, like they're doing the the warm up, his is going sideways and like fighting. He's like, oh no. And it came in
Shane.
last.
Oh, that's awesome.
We were laughing. My horse came in first. I ended up winning like $50. But anyway, there's no restaurant. You'd sit and eat food and watch the races outside, and it's so fun.
That
Because
sounds
every
fun.
15 minutes the horses are running, and they said they really want to reopen it, but they can't find anybody. Nobody wants
It's
to
the
work.
weirdest thing, man. People ask me that all the time too.
Do you have that issue at your restaurant?
They ask me, hey man, is it difficult finding people to work now? And I'm like, yeah. They're like, why is it? I'm like, I have no idea. It's so weird.
I wonder that too. Like, how is everybody feeding their families? How are people paying their bills?
Certainly not with
Like,
eggs.
Where is this Where's this money coming from that everybody has?
Well, first of all, it was ridiculous in the beginning of the pandemic to pay people double what they were making to work to sit at home. How in the world is an employer going to get somebody back to work? Come back to work for less than you're making to sit at home. Who in their right mind is going to agree to that? But the reason why people can't find workers is a question that nobody is able to answer. I have no idea.
What are all
what's
these
going
people
on.
doing?
I've been asking this for what, a year now? Brought it up on the show. And the joke is, I was saying this when Seamus was here. They got raptured. Where is everybody?
Where is everybody?
How is it that we still have a shortage of workers? Nobody wants to work, but hold on, Ian, you pointed this out. A lot of homeless people.
Yeah, a lot of them are on the street. I don't know. I don't have proof that those that got fired from their jobs are the ones on the street.
It makes
but
sense, though.
Either that or they're collecting unemployment and sitting in their, the one bedroom apartment.
Unemployment gives out. You get like 18 months of unemployment. I've always been like sort of terrified to not have a job. I've been working full time, like basically since I was 19 years old. I don't know how else you're supposed to exist. Like, what are you supposed to do?
I got unemployment for
Gamble?
about 2 years.
Right.
A lot of people seem to be doing that.
That's a
not
problem
really-
too. They said like
I'm not great at
in
that, as you
1984.
can
They're like
attest.
football, alcohol, and gambling are the three like signs of the end of the civilization, especially gambling. That's
Football,
what-
alcohol, and
I
gambling.
think those are the three that George Orwell talks about.
Was it
Gambling's no
you
joke.
and Taylor were with us, right, at MGM?
Yeah, Taylor won a bunch of money and I
That was
lost
hilarious.
$300.
We went to MGM National Harbor, and Libby just lost every hand. And
Yeah.
Taylor Silverman was with us, and her first hand, she gets trips on 3-card poker and won like $1,000.
Yeah. She was like,
insane.
Libby, I made your money back.
I have like a real aversion to gambling. It makes me really nervous because it's so easy and fun, but that's the problem with it.
This is the thing. I think it's an indicator.
There are a
of
lot of things
an
that
end
are, you know.
an end of a society or civilization. The rampant expanse of gambling,
Mm.
and look, I love the casino. It's fun. It's like an adult arcade. You never go there thinking you're gonna win money. I'm not talking about going and being like, oh boy, I'm gonna take my rent money and bet it, and then no, you don't do that. You get $100 or whatever, and you say we're gonna just play some fun games, minimum bets. just for the fun and excitement, then have some food and go home. And it's like going to the arcade. You're spending $100 on games, no different than if you went to an arcade and put $100 in your chip machine so you could play tokens with your kids or something.
But there are people like Mr. Beast who
but there
cured
are people,
1,000 people's blindness.
Right. Except I go to the casino and what do I see? It's people milking themselves dry. I walk up to the ATM and I see a receipt. True story. Saw the receipt and I pulled it out because I'm curious. Like, who are these people betting all this money? It's crazy to me. When I sit down, I go to the craps table, dice game. For people don't know, and I see a dude standing there and he's got $10,000, and I'm like, who the is this guy to be gambling 10 grand like that? So crazy.
Balling.
Well, I don't know if this casino is still, they have a credit window, but it's closed. But like National Harbor's got a credit room. You go in there, people are gambling away things they don't have. I went to the ATM and there was a receipt hanging out. I pulled it out and it said withdraw $100 of total available balance, negative $300. Meaning,
Yikes.
they likely had just gotten paid, withdrew from their paycheck, but their account was previously negative, so it didn't roll over.
They're trying to win back the fee that it's going to charge them for taking out
It's
overdraft.
like $6 for the. Yep.
That
Desperate.
sucks.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, I'm
That's
not a conspiracy theorist. I don't buy into these conspiracy theories, but I do truly believe that the government at large, they do not want a prosperous middle class, and that's evident. And I do believe that I'm not saying the reason for COVID was to kill small businesses, but I do believe that it's one thing that did happen, and at the very least, the government saw it happen and accelerated that process because small businesses were absolutely just ravished during the pandemic.
Well, there was a thing early on in, I think it was Lansing, Michigan. It was like, I think it was April of 2020. Was it April? Anyway, it was like right early on, and a whole bunch of small business owners went to the Capitol in Lansing to protest Gretchen Whitmer and be like, hey, you need to let us open up our nail shops and our hair salons and all of our little businesses. You need to let us open back up. And Whitmer had allowed casinos to stay open, liquor shops to stay open. She allowed big box stores to stay open, and all the little shops had closed. So all these people showed up and they did like a car protest essentially. And some people went into the Capitol, and they were armed. They weren't like brandishing their weapons around or anything like that, but they were armed, and everybody freaked out that these people were there, and they were like, you're racist because you're protesting these lockdown measures. And I remember distinctly there was one woman who ran a nail shop, and she was like, I have employees, I have a family, I have a nail shop, and you took it from me. Like, why did you do this? There was a hair shop in Texas, and she refused to close, and she kept getting shut down.
A woman in Minnesota, I think it was, southern Minnesota, she had a coffee shop and she refused to close.
Right.
So they went after her and she fled to Iowa, I guess. And then the sheriffs came and arrested her for illegally running a coffee shop. Or
Yeah.
something.
Well, the
It's
thing
ridiculous.
is, as a restaurateur, I obviously I have a lot of kids working for me, minimum wage kids. And the minimum wage is going up to $15 in Virginia, and you just cannot afford that as a small business. So, I mean, you're more than doubling what the minimum wage used to be. So, as a business owner, I've got to increase my prices. But as a restaurateur, I can only sell a burger for so much before you say, I'm not paying $20 for a burger. I can only increase it so much. And so that what that does is it destroys small businesses, because restaurants, that's the biggest industry as far as small businesses go in America.
There was a little barbecue stand not too far from where we are. It's where West Virginia meets Virginia. It's gone now. I think someone stole it. Crazy. Someone stole their cooker and drove off with it or something like that. And now there was a waffle stand. It's gone. I don't know why it's gone. It's sad. But we used to go there, and you'd go up to the barbecue. And I remember one day we went there. I took a picture. I posted on Instagram. They said they had no brisket. The cost of beef was too much.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I mean, can you get it? And they were like, we can. But who's going to want to buy a $20 brisket sandwich?
Exactly.
And I was like, yeah, I'll take the $5 chicken sandwich.
Yeah, and the thing is, what people don't realize, and I mean, it's the most obvious thing to me, is that minimum wage more than doubles, right? But did that person who's making $60,000 a year, did his salary double? No, it didn't. So now when businesses have to double their prices to keep up with the people that they have to pay to work, now you, as the middle wage earner, the $60,000, the $150,000, now you're poorer. So we lifted the minimum wage, and now the teenagers are getting paid a lot more money. But now you, the person that needs to take care of a family, now you are doing nothing but getting poorer, and it's killing the middle class. And it's so obvious.
And the thing too is,
here's
like,
what
why
happens.
should you be paying $15 an hour to some kid who doesn't know how to do their job either? Like, why is that the thing?
This happens with minimum wage increases, as well as if it would happen with UBI. You're a business, and you have to pay, whether it's because by government mandate or by environmental pressures, $15 an hour, you're raising your prices. End of story. So for like UBI, you tell everybody you get $500 per week guaranteed. Then one day, all of your employees quit. All of your stockers and cashiers quit, and you're like, "Well, why are you quitting?" And they're like, oh, "I get $500 a week for free. Why should I work?" Well, how much do you want to work, man? In order to compete with a free $500, you got to understand this. We're not just talking about the amount of money I get at the end of the week. We're talking about the equation of how much work do I have to do for how much reward. If the amount of work I have to do for UBI is fill out a form one time and then I'm done, we're talking about $500 per week for the rest of my life. Add that up for 1 minute of work. Do you think your 40 hours of work for even $600 comes close? Sorry. People are going to say, I would rather eat out less, but not have to work at all.
Yep.
In order, if you're doing UBI or free $500, or let's say it's even $100, $100 to a young person, they're going to say $400 a month. I'll split that money with my buddy. We'll get a studio apartment and live for free, and then I'll figure out the rest. But now I don't have to have a job at all. Mm-hmm. And if you then say, we'll give you $100 a week if you do this job, that way you're getting twice as much, they're going to be like, yeah, but I have the minimum I need and I don't have to work, so I'm not going to. You say, okay, how about $200 a week? And they're going to say, even that. You want me to work 40 hours a week or 30 hours a week or whatever? Okay, $600 a week. And they'll say, I mean, I guess.
But it's still a maybe.
It's an exponential increase in the amount of money you have to offer, because you're not actually offering them money. You're offering them 40 hours more work they don't have to do if their needs are met.
And that's going to bankrupt not only the economy, but it'll bankrupt society because there won't be any innovation.
Well, yeah. Who's all for these minimum wage increases? These big corporations, the ones that fund these politicians' campaigns.
Well, and that then they can put the small businesses out of business.
Exactly. So Walmart,
Starbucks can afford the 15.
How can I?
Right.
How can I compete with Walmart, who a teenager can just go there and stock shelves and by the way, put their AirPods in and not have to deal with any customers and listen to music while they're stocking shelves and make $18 an hour. And Walmart can afford that because now they have like a 50% reduction in workforce because they don't even need cashiers anymore. Now you're the cashier.
I hate that so much. I hate that so I cannot even tell you how much I hate self-checkout.
Oh my God.
Like, I have a job and now I'm doing this. And I was at the thing the other day with my kid and we like bought some stupid crap shelf that then I had to build myself, because like I can't even buy anything that's put together. And we put it on I'm like, okay, we have to try and get it on the scanner. It's this whole undertaking of engineering project. And we don't even realize that there's like a glass sitting there that I had already paid for, a little toothpaste cup. And the whole thing, the shelf smashes into the glass goes flying. Now everything is smashed. And now I have to clean up the smashed glass that I already paid for that I can't even take home with the stupid shelf. Oh, I was so mad. Okay, I'm still mad.
I got a solution for you.
I hate it so much.
I got a solution for you. Check out this tweet from Wall Street Silver on Twitter. Coming to a town near you, face scanning for access to
I saw
food
this.
and public transportation. It works great as long as your social credit score is high enough because you obey. Fire. And then there's another video, I don't know if you saw TikTok, where a woman says she's paying her bills at Whole Foods, her checkout, with her palm.
What? Oh, because she has like a RFID chip for her bank account?
You go up to a machine and you put your credit card in it. You then hold your hand over it and it scans your hand. And then you take your card out, and now your handprint is connected to your card.
No.
So when you're buying your groceries, this is at Whole Foods, I think it was, you walk up and you just hold your hand over the thing, it goes bong, and then you walk right out.
No, I want this not at all. I don't want any piece of this. I recently moved out of New York, and part of it was like, I don't want this encroaching, overtaking of my body and soul and mind and identity to like go to all of this stuff. We're very close in New York to having the thing where you put your hand scanner on just to ride the subway. Like,
That's what this is?
No.
Have you seen Minority Report?
No.
When you've never seen Minority Report? Come on.
No,
Tom Cruise. He walks into
literally
a mall.
watch space movies and stoner comedies and like Woody Allen.
It's
and
the
that's
future.
it.
He gets eye implants. For I guess your eyes, they recognize, all the cameras everywhere scan your eyes. So he gets them removed and gets other eyes put in, and then he walks into a mall and it's like, "Hello, Mr. Wong," and then the ads, like, because it's like Mr. Wong's eyes or whatever, are all tailored to him. So you're walking around seeing things. Man, they'll be like, "Hi, Libby, did you pick up that new lipstick yet? It's right over here around the corner." That's what it's going to be like.
Awful.
They're
Just
doing
awful.
this facial recognition stuff. I went to a few years ago. It was the Amazon store, I think it was in Seattle.
Yeah.
Where
They have a store?
yeah, you walk in
And walk out.
grab whatever you want, and walk right out, and the cameras track everything you do. They bought Whole Foods.
Oh, that's
the plan
right.
is to implement this at Whole Foods. That's why they're doing the hand palm, the palm scanner thing.
Whole Foods during the pandemic, I went in and I tried to get them to make me a sandwich, and they said no, they can't make me a sandwich because of the stupid, arbitrary garbage rules. And they were like, no, but we have sandwiches made here. And I was like, didn't you make those? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, okay, so you can make a sandwich with your COVID germs, wrap it up in plastic and put it here. And I could buy that, but you can't make a sandwich now and wrap it up in plastic and hand it to me so that I have the sandwich I want.
And the thing is that no matter how
Gourmelts
much...
can.
Gourmelts
That's right.
can. Well, I'll have to come check it out.
And we won't stop. Can't stop, won't stop. But the thing is that no matter how bad you don't want it, it's going to happen. And the reason is people are
It's
lazy.
so awful.
And
It's so
the
awful.
problem with society is this. It's very simple. The problem with society is we're too comfortable. And people are willing to blindly comply because they have AC, they have heat, they're able to pay their bills, they can go grab a coffee from Starbucks when they want, and as long as they can do those things, they will gladly hand their rights over to the government.
Well,
It's
I gotta
awful.
tell you, man. Look,
It's totally
I know I'm not a big fan of Starbucks, but let's be honest. That pistachio cold brew cream thing, that's so good.
I haven't tried it, man.
I was thinking
Good
the
stuff.
other night that you got to do uncomfortable things to succeed, and I thought,
You
no,
do.
that's backwards. It's that if the things that you need to do to succeed are uncomfortable, so you got to be willing. Not everything that's uncomfortable is going to make you succeed. Like,
That's
don't
right.
break your legs.
I disagree. I disagree with someone with that. You are right, but let me rephrase it. I think what happens to our society is that what used to be a rewarding experience, people don't have to do and now hate doing. So, for example, exercise, right? I like skating. It feels good. Exercise is ancillary. It's like, it just so happens that if you're skating, you're staying in shape, but skating is fun.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who like working out because they're pushing their limits and they're trying to lift more weights. But for a lot of people, most people, working out sucks. And they're like, I have to do something that's uncomfortable if I want to succeed. It's like, it shouldn't be that way. It should be from when you're a kid, your parents take you out to go exercise, and it becomes a routine that you enjoy doing, that you push yourself and you succeed at it. And it feels good to do those things. You know what I mean?
Biking.
It used to be
Like biking is great.
Acquiring food used to be like that. It used to be a big deal when someone would come back to the tribe with food. That was like not expected. If we don't get it, now it's like people loathe going to the Oh, I don't want to do it. Oh, I have to go all the way there to get the thing. Like, dude, you are lucky.
I'm watching 1883, and there's the scene where the dad is hunting with the kid, and then he points the scope at the deer, and then he tells the kid to look, and then the kid's 5, and he says, pull the trigger, and then he's like, he brings the kid down, and he's like, you did it, you got your first kill, it's a deer, it's gonna feed us for weeks. And he's all excited, and then he's got to like gut it and pull out the garbage, and then throw it on the horse and bring it back, or no, he carries it, I think.
Well, you know what? We don't even have to go back to the 1800s. I was actually, ironically, just thinking about this yesterday. And in the 90s, in early 90s, when I was growing up as a kid, I ate like shit. But when I joined the military at 17 years old, I was 130 pounds. Why? Because it wasn't as comfortable as it is today to be in the house. TV sucked. Yeah. You had to get up and change the TV. And everything that you wanted to do, if you wanted to interact with your friends, you had to go outside. So I truly believe that, of course, food is an issue. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But I believe the bigger issue is the inactivity. And I think it proves it because, in the 90s, we had the same foods that we had today, and it was just as shitty. But the obesity wasn't as rampant because we were doing things. We weren't sitting in a dark room playing video games or sitting at our phone, and just our friends are just at our disposal right here on our phones. We had to actually go outside and interact with them.
You used to have to go to the store to shop and go to the bank to get money. Now I bought like 20 things on Amazon in the last 4 or 5 days from my room.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even leave the room.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, I'd have to go run errands with my stepmom, like before the weekend. And one of the errands was always to go get cash, because you couldn't get any cash at the weekend. Or you'd have to like go to the grocery store and cash a check, and you have to stand in line with everybody else who forgot to go to the bank on Friday.
Mm-hmm. Before the debit card, I got my first debit
And there was
card.
no
at,
ATM. We had to like
92.
do a drive-through with like a little hydraulic thing, and you'd whatever.
You had to interact with somebody, cash
Yeah,
a check to
there
get
were
your money.
people,
I mean,
yeah.
I think you're completely right that the lack of socialization is driving this. Also, I think that the opiates are heavily involved with the lack of socialization. But
Oh, no doubt about that. I mean, but the bottom line is, it goes back to we're just way too comfortable in today's society, and the video that I filmed live when those police officers came into my restaurant and stripped my livelihood from me. That's the message I was trying to get across to them. I was not ragging on police. I've always supported, police officers. What I was telling them is what they specifically were doing was wrong. And I don't give a damn what your profession is. If you're a police officer, if you're a teacher, if you're in the military, if you're a small business owner, if you're complicit in stripping a citizen of their constitutional rights, you are wrong. But they were willing to do it. And I know for a fact that at least one of those officers that day felt bad about what he did, because he had a friend come into my restaurant afterwards and tell me such. And but the reason he did it is because what? Because he didn't want to lose his job, because he wanted to maintain his benefits, and he wanted to have a paycheck coming in so he can provide for his family. And on one hand, you ask yourself, well, can you blame him? But then on the other hand, the answer is, well, the only reason this is going on is because of people like him that are willing to be complicit in things that are illegal and unconstitutional to be comfortable. Now, if every police officer involved in that situation would have stood up and said, this is unconstitutional, I'm not doing it, then it wouldn't have happened. And it was the same for me. It would have been way easier for me to comply and just go along with what they were telling me to do. And I wouldn't have lost, 6 figures. I wouldn't have had the stress put on me and my family that was put on me. But there's more. There's things that are bigger than you, and there's things that are more important than you and your business and your money. And my mindset was always, if I lose everything, if everybody in this entire country stands against me for what I'm about to do, and I lose it all, well, I'm a hard worker. I'll bust my ass, and in one way or another, I'll provide for my family, and I'll be okay. But if I give up my freedoms, I'll never get that back. And that's what I want people to understand and remember next time, is that if you refuse to stand up and fight for what's right, just so you can keep the comfortability of your daily life, then you're going to lose something much greater. And those are your constitutional rights, and those are your freedoms. And I just don't know how to get that across to people. But I hope that my story and my situation, I hope that if nothing else, what it proves is that if you do stand up and you do fight, the people will rally behind you, and you can beat the government, and you will beat the government. And we are bigger than the government. We are stronger than the government, because we are the government.
Well, and once you give away your rights, like, that's your kids' rights too. That's your grandchildren's rights. Like,
and that's the most important thing.
Then you have to like fight a war to get them back.
That's right. Yep. And I did this. I took on this fight mainly for my kids and for the next generation, because if we don't, you and me, if all of us here in this room, if our generation doesn't step up and take this fight on right now, and not only take it on, but win, and we just hand this fight over to the next generation, by the time they're old enough to fight this, it'll be too far gone.
Well, and they'll be squashed already.
Exactly.
I got a feeling the next round of shutdown government stuff is going to be for power outages. I could be wrong about that.
What do you mean for power
if
outages?
If the grid goes down for 2 weeks, then our phones are off. People are trying to figure it out. The government starts coming around saying, we're going to take control. Don't leave the house. Don't leave the house. Don't leave the house.
They're not going to do that until they make us all have electric cars. They're going to wait till we all have electric cars, then we can't go anywhere either.
I don't know if they're going to cause it or if it's just going to happen. But if that's a situation where it's like, don't leave the house, what do we do? resist
They
again.
did
Say,
that
no, I'm
already.
going
Wait,
about
wait,
my daily business.
That's literally
We have
how
to-
every
yeah.
city was during COVID lockdowns.
It's going to be asymmetrical. So next time, it probably won't be a virus next time. It'll probably be something a little...
They're calling it a cyber 9/11.
Yeah, they're working on that too. Like the FAA, the flights that all
Yeah.
got grounded. They could pull something
Well,
like that.
at the World Economic Forum, they're referring to it as a cyber pandemic or some kind of
Right.
cyber 9/11 incident that will destroy a global economy.
What do you think? I mean, you're
well,
pretty
then
realistic.
it would wipe out everybody's money, right? What are those things that would like wipe out all of the information? And if
Temporarily
all of your
into
money
Solar
is
flares?
Do you
Yeah.
think that people should prepare like realistically? Like I've got like a ham radio, solar
Chickens.
panels.
Hey. Everybody who listens to this show and can or figure out how to get chickens is laughing right now listening to this show because they got eggs. And their neighbors are probably like, please, sir, might I borrow some eggs
not
for my
wrong.
pancakes? And you're like, no, they're mine. Actually, you can have some.
No, you're not wrong. You're absolutely right. I mean, being self-sustainable is the most important thing. But I'm telling you guys right now, and I hope this doesn't come across as too politician-y, but I am running for office right now. But I am the furthest thing, even in this room, from a politician, man. But I'm telling you guys, you need to start paying attention to state politics. These federal elections are not where you make your money. It's at the state level. In Virginia, in 2035, electric cars are going to be the law. So you are no longer
California too, and New York.
exactly. So Virginia
And Oregon
followed
and
their lead.
Washington.
Exactly.
I hate that so
and
much.
I think it's Wyoming that said
Wyoming said that they're banning electric
exactly
cars.
electric cars are banned.
Yeah.
And so let me tell you guys something.
That's
a lot
where you're
of-
gonna move next.
A lot of people don't
Oh
know.
yeah, I'm not absolutely. It's awesome.
The
It's
most-
expensive though.
Yeah, it is.
The most important thing, guys, the most important thing by far, and even if you don't believe that, and we were talking about this before the show, even if you don't believe that any election was stolen or any of that, elections are not secure. In the state of Virginia, you can go vote without showing an ID. You tell me how elections are secure when you can do
That's true
that.
in New York too. You just sign for it.
Well, hold on. In what was the story? I think we talked about it. Did we talk about it? Non-citizens can vote.
Oh, yeah. Well, in New York, they put up a proposal where non-citizens could vote in local elections, and it was overturned.
They can vote right now. I'm going to tell you how. And not a lot of people know this. So check this out. In the state of Virginia and in many other states as well, as an illegal alien, as an illegal immigrant, you can get a driver's license at the DMV, a valid driver's license, right? So our voter rolls, they come from the DMV. And they go, so how our voter rolls get handed down to
Wait,
the
it's like
Office
an
of
auto
Elections.
register, right?
That's
It's
what
like
happened
auto
in California.
registration?
So check this
A
out.
big story a few years ago.
The people that run our voter rolls is an organization called ERIC, E-R-I-C. And everybody look this up if you think I'm BSing. ERIC, the Electronic Registration Information Center, ERIC. So what ERIC does is it reaches down to the DMVs and it says, hey, DMV, we want all of your information from all of the people in your state that are of legal age to vote. So the DMV sends them all that information. Now, illegal immigrants are in that batch because if you look in the bylaws of ERIC, it doesn't hide it from you. It says in the bylaws of ERIC, it says, hey, DMV, you are not allowed to tell us who is a citizen and who's not.
Why?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
And so what happens is Eric sifts through that information and sends the voter rolls down to the state level, and it says this is everybody in your state that's allowed to vote, and illegal immigrants are included in that. And the answer to you as to why, you know who funded Eric, who helped create
know.
Eric?
No, who
Take
did?
a wild guess. George Soros.
Soros.
George Soros. So George Soros is running your elections, and if you think any of that is a lie, please do the research.
We're going to go to Super Chats. So if you haven't already, would you kindly smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and become a member at timcast.com. Click that Join Us button over there. And we're going to have a members-only uncensored show coming up for you in about an hour and 20 minutes, hour and a half or so, Monday through Thursday at 8 p.m. But for now, we will read what y'all have to say in those Super Chats. We got Grofty says, peck the like button, buck. Greatly appreciated, All right. Moral Objection says, been really quiet on Timcast about the whole Eliza Blue situation. You'd think real journalists would want to know why Twitter is censoring prominent content creators on her behalf. Not only do we have a journalist currently being funded to go out and cover the story, but Well, I mean, I guess I should say that. We quite literally have a guy flying on a plane, going to meet all the people involved and interview to figure out what's going on and do an investigation of it. And I got to be honest, like everybody's like the spamming the chat and spamming the super chat, demanding that we talk about this one issue. And it's just like, I don't know if you guys follow the show, but we never cave. Like the pre-production isn't dictated by what things in the chat are. Like the hour before the show, we pull up all the stories. We don't then have a whole bunch of people start chatting to us, and then we say, "Oh, hey, let's throw out all the stories we already pre-planned for," and then not have anything pulled to talk about whatever. We don't do that. So I'll tell you this: know all about it. Jeremy sent me some information on it. Jeremy was supposed to be on the show. We were going to have Jeremy Hambley on the show today, actually. Yeah, today.
True.
And he just, I guess, I don't know exactly what happened. He didn't get back to Cassandra, who handles all the bookings for us, and then he didn't come. I told him to come on. I was like, well, I want to have you on. Like, this would be the perfect time. Especially, he was just reinstated. He has a big thread about what happened. And I'm like, dude, I'm not the person to like, Jeremy, come on the show. Like, would love to. I'm a fan. I'm a friend. Want to talk about coffee, too. But Jeremy didn't make it out. So I told him, you got to come on when you can. So if everybody wants to talk about it, it's like, my guys, let's get Jeremy to come on the show, man. We want the quartering on the show. Yeah. But so we sent Shane Cashman. So if we're hoping to get a sit down with anybody we can on whatever the story is. It is really interesting. It is really interesting to see all the details. I don't know enough about it. I just know that there's something going on here, and that the quartering, a very prominent personality talking about culture and news, was suspended talking about this video. So I'm curious to see how it turns out. Simply put, when I saw that everybody wanted something done about it, I went and talked with Shane Cashman. He wants to do a full profile on this whole thing, and I was like, it's probably the best and most effective thing we can do, other than having Jeremy come on the show. So it's like, I don't know what else y'all want from me, my friends.
Yeah, just go dig into it.
Yeah, like Jeremy, if Jeremy come on the show and he can literally say all of this. We had Eliza on the show before. Mm-hmm. All I know is she's on Twitter. She's a prominent activist talking about the stuff. Many people are saying that her past is shady and stuff like that. It's not true. She's lying. And I was like, oh, this is perfect. We're having Jeremy on the show. And then Jeremy didn't make it out, and I hit him up. I was like, bro, you're not coming? Like, come on the show. So that's the best thing I can do. If you want to see it talked about, like, we got to fly Jeremy out. What's figured out, and the challenge was this was the day we had booked in a month in advance, and we're booked up. But I would happily make room for Jeremy. I mean, you know.
Did
absolutely.
Brittany Venti get unbanned on Twitter?
Mm-hmm. Both of them did.
Oh, good.
Yeah. All right, let's read some more. Russell Garcia says, I can't wait to vote for Matt in the election. Sending love from Spotsy.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. And if anybody hasn't so far, you can follow this journey, because I'm telling you right now, I'm coming to crush the establishment, and I will with the support of you. And you can do so at Matt for VA on social media, and the website is mattforva.com. I'm fighting a war on two fronts, Democrats and these Republican establishments. So if you can help the campaign out, please do so.
Yeah, man. Plus, if you're not too far away, go to Gourmelts, man. That was some good food. We got to come back down.
Is that place lit up right now from all the publicity?
Oh man, I mean we've got such an awesome customer base, man, and you know it's such a patriotic customer base, and the environment is just, it's awesome, man. There's never any issues in there, and we do something every night. So Wednesday nights we do trivia, Thursday karaoke, Friday and Saturday we do live music, and our live music. So the entire name of the restaurant is Gourmelt's 90s Music Bar and Draft House. So we're all about 90s music. And our live music on Friday and Saturdays is 80s and 90s cover bands. So we blast out, man. We have a good time.
Maybe we can play a show some night there.
Man, yes, indeed.
Anytime. What are your signature foods, your top 3 meals?
Oh, man. So the top ones are, we have a melt called the Southern Cookout. And melts are, grilled sandwiches. And so what's in this one is sharp cheddar cheese, some really good sharp cheddar cheese, and sharp cheddar mac and cheese, barbecue pulled pork. That we do everything from scratch. So we even do our barbecue from scratch. And we don't sweeten our barbecue sauce with sugar.
Like That's good. That's very good.
We sweeten it with figs.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
That
Did
sounds
Luke convince you to get off the
spectacular.
seed oils?
He did, man. I'm on board. Man.
Yeah, society's at the point where if you spend 30 to 40% more on the ingredients, you're going to get 70 to 80%
That's right,
more
man.
in customer return.
Luke actually just chatted. Ask him about seed oils.
Tell him I'm all in, man.
He's all in. He's all in. Yeah, man, we went down there. The food was amazing. The pretzel.
Yeah,
That was crazy.
I mean,
I'm like, I don't want to eat all these glutens, man. But
Sandwich.
Oh my God, it's
Yeah.
good.
Definitely
So
want that.
and,
and
My
should go
kid
down.
would
We should
love
come
that.
down. Maybe not this weekend, but the next one we'll come
and
down.
we've
Yeah, we
got
should
something
do.
for everybody. So everything on our menu we can do gluten free, and our pretzels are handmade by a guy locally. He's from Germany.
Wow.
I mean, the pretzels are legit. You tried it.
It was
And
so good.
We've got grilled cheese tacos. So what we
Those are
do
very good.
is we take a corn tortilla and we grill shredded mozzarella cheese to the outside. Because when you eat a single tortilla taco, it falls apart, right?
Yeah.
All you got to do is lightly grill a little bit of mozzarella cheese to the outside of it, and you're good to go. So
It's
that's what
good.
we do. Oh, it's off the hook, man. Off the hook.
All right. Let's read some more. All right. What do we got? Let's see. Wade Mikunda says MTG reminds me of a AAA gaming company nowadays. Oof. That's actually that is a dig for those that don't know. All right. Raymond G. Stanley Jr. says, Tim, the cult twists everything we say to fit their narrative. Then, if they can't argue against our claims, they go right to insults. They're pathetic. Yep. That's right. T-Rex Petchup says, Tim, I don't have the good stuff for Mr. Bokus, but I have UT supplements and treats that help with kidney health. I can get the good stuff, however, on special order request. What's the update on Mr. Bokus?
You know, you being here is the good stuff, man. Bucko's doing fantastic. He's sitting. I'm going to go see him in about 20 minutes, say whiz zap, and then I'm going to come back up for the after show. He's probably laying on my bathroom floor right now. I got him a nice big.
Is he wearing his bodysuit?
Fresh mat. No, I got him a new collar. He didn't like the bodysuit, and he could chew through it to get to the stitches. So I got him this Cosmos collar where it's like stars and stuff, and it looks like it looks like a flower, so he can't bite his own stitches. You know, he's eating a lot. He gets inspired when I get inspired. So if I start working out, he gets inspired to start eating a bunch of meat. He's probably put on 1.5 pounds in the last week or so.
Has he?
Yeah, he looks fantastic. Filling out. I'm gonna go take him to the vet tomorrow to get some another diagnostic done before we give him the stem cell injection.
But those are coming, and then what's the update?
The stem cells, they are ready. Vet Stem is the company that does it. It's headquartered in San Diego, California, I believe. And they will be sending it out overnight to the clinic, whatever clinic we choose to go to. And then they will give him. It's a real simple thing. They just give him the injections. And I think it's every 3 months he gets another injection after that.
And they think it will help his kidney function?
That's the plan, yeah.
It'll help everything,
experiments have
actually.
shown,
It's gonna-
yeah. His heart. I mean, I don't know exactly. I don't know. I think it might even heal up his stitches on his stomach. I'm fascinated.
yeah. I think it will. I think you can buy stem cell therapy for humans where they harvest it from umbilical cords or whatever, or you can do a thing where they take it from you and then culture it or whatever. But we watched a video about it, and damaged tissue releases some kind of chemical or something, and then stem cells are attracted to it, attach, and then turn into the cells around it, repairing the damage. It's crazy.
You can do it with teeth too. There's
Yeah.
experiments that you can regrow.
Stem cells for teeth?
Yeah, not
Regrow
the
teeth.
enamel, but the what's the stuff underneath the enamel?
Your tooth?
No,
The
it's like the root, but it's what's that stuff
nerve?
called? Not dentin. I'll pull it
I
up.
have no idea.
All right.
You know what's crazy though is one day, like in 100 years from now, or like after all this stem cell research and stuff, like being paralyzed is not even going to be a thing anymore. They're going to look back at us and laugh at us. Like, can you believe they allowed people to stay paralyzed back then?
They didn't know. People should drink mercury. People didn't know.
Yeah, James Tour just
All right.
figured out how to. He injected graphene nanoribbons into a spine of a mouse that had complete severance of the spine. It was completely broken in half, and it regrew the spine within 2 weeks. It was walking again.
Wow.
Within 3 weeks, it was even better.
All right. Christina H says, my chickens have finally started laying again. It's been excellent. They never stopped laying for us. You can do some tricks in the winter that you need a light, because if there's not enough light, the chickens stop laying. But if you turn the light on, chickens are not very smart, which may be surprising to you. And they think it's day, so they keep laying. It's like a thing, I guess, for chickens. But there's also some breeds that lay better all around. And I think black stars are really good layers. Yeah. It's a Rhode Island red and a rooster and a barred Plymouth Rock. We have a whole bunch of them. We have too many of these guys.
I like
all
those
over
little
the place.
fluffy ones. What are those called?
Little fluffy ones.
Silkies?
Oh, the silkies.
Yeah.
Great
Yeah,
hair.
they
They're
have
cute.
their meat, their skin is blue, and the chicken meat is black.
That sounds awful and creepy.
Oh, it's
You
probably
guys ever
delicious.
serve different kinds of chicken
Just sounds
meat?
creepy.
I want to now. That sounds
sounds
delicious,
awesome.
man. I mean, you guys, you can tell the difference between just a farm fresh egg and one you get. At
No
the
joke.
store. I mean, it's so different, man.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I go out to eat and I order eggs, I'm like, these are conventional garbage eggs because the eggs I get, they're fluffy. I don't know. They're just better.
The yolk is a different color.
Darker.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's got more of an orange tint to it.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to get on the chicken train, man. I'm getting some chickens here.
Oh, that's
soon.
cool.
Yeah,
I've seen restaurants that have chicken coops on the roof and stuff. I've heard of stuff like that.
That'd be dope.
They like grow their own vegetables on the roof. Maybe it was.
All right. Mac N says, I was put on Strattera at the age of 5 for ADHD. I was in foster care at the time. Later, when I was 14, I was put on Adderall and Prozac. I'm 23 now, and I've been off Prozac for almost a year, and I have never felt better.
Nice, dude.
Oh,
Yeah,
good.
I'm glad to hear it, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's working out.
How do you supplement? I want to know. Because for me, sometimes if I'm addicted to something, eating a healthy thing kind of like helps my body. Not just waiting for the addiction to go away, but actually introducing new things, kind of to take control of my own body. But I'm interested to hear what you've done to kick all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you know what I did, man? So like during the pandemic, everybody was drinking more. Everybody was like, and I started noticing, because I would have maybe a couple of beers on the weekend or something, but for whatever reason during the pandemic, man, I'd have a beer a day, and I said I gotta cut back, man. You know what I did? I introduced soda water to get me away from just drinking beer, and it worked.
Yeah.
I just started drinking soda water instead of regular water, and I didn't want a beer anymore.
To cut back on coffee, because I'll do coffee with peanut butter powder and a little bit of coconut water. I just started doing hot water with peanut butter powder. And it's the peanut butter. My body's totally into it.
All right, we got Mickey Blackwell says, I like this guy. Thanks for fighting for this country overseas and here. We need to watch out for how the government controls our food.
Well, thanks, brother. I appreciate that. And you are absolutely correct about that. And that really scares me, because how do we really make sure the government doesn't get involved in our food? That's the question.
Aren't they already involved in our food?
Yeah, but I mean, you hear a lot of I don't know if they're rumors or not, but you hear a lot of stories about how they're gonna come get these anti-vaxxers one way or another. They're gonna put the mRNA vaccine in your food now, and it's just, and nothing today to me is a conspiracy theory. Everything's on the table. I mean, the government's even admitting the aliens are real now.
Well, are they, though?
Right. But they did release all those documents.
Somebody
Yeah,
did.
they're saying UFOs, and
Yeah.
they're like, if they came out actually and said, yeah, aliens are real,
I suspect a false flag. They're going to be like, aliens are attacking. Everyone stay inside. Do not get a gas car. We need only electric.
There's gonna be,
I don't
your
want to
TV's
give
gonna
up my
get taken
gas
over.
car. I just got a car maybe 2 years ago, my very first car ever in my life, and I will be damned if I'm giving that up.
Your TV is going to get taken over, and it's going to be an alien being like, humans, we have come to take over your planet.
Only
unless
on
you get rid of your gas cars.
Tune to CNN. We only have CNN.
Well, those of us are going to hang on to our gas cars and fight back by keeping our gas cars. But then what
Yes.
happens when the gas stations go away?
I don't like that.
You don't have a choice. We need to fight back by putting the right people in these political positions.
The
is
issue
what we
too,
need to
though,
do.
with the electric cars is that they're not actually sustainable or renewable or better because of the implications of the mining that goes into creating those batteries. The waste from the batteries is worse than the waste.
I
from
think
oil
everybody
spills.
knows that, except people who are lying to themselves.
Well, I think I mean, these people who are like, oh, I'm going to give up my gas stove to get an electric stove because it's better, not realizing that they're just creating waste by getting rid of their existing stove.
This is a good one from Jeff Phillips. Says, my background is pharmacology, and I've worked in and with the pharmaceutical industry for years. I don't know one scientist at any pharmaceutical company that want anything except making medicines that help. And I'll tell you exactly what happens. The scientists are like, yo, we've discovered this medicine that seems to do this thing. It's going to help a whole lot of people. Let's put it into tests. And then during those tests, they're like, we noticed that these pills you prescribed to save people from heart attacks is giving them boners. And then a business guy goes, we are going to make a fortune on boner pills. And I think that's what it was, wasn't it? Something like that.
That Viagra was not initially intended for that.
And
purpose.
Ozempic.
Yeah.
It was like a diabetes thing.
Yeah.
Now it's like a weight loss drug.
Right.
But it will give you suicidal ideation.
Ozempic will?
Yeah.
But they have that happy song. Oh, 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 it's
Yeah,
a drug.
but you have to listen for the whole thing because it's actually pretty bad. The side effects are, death.
Well,
I hate that commercial so much.
I'll buy
hate
into
it
that.
too.
I mean, I believe the scientists are really trying to do good. I mean, the worker bees are trying to solve a problem. It's the same as the military, like us soldiers that go to fight. We think we're fighting for a righteous cause. We're fighting for freedom in America. In reality, we're fighting to the guy or the girl to our right and left. But in reality, do we really know what's going on? Do we really know what the puppets up at the Pentagon are really sending us out to fight for? It's the same thing in the pharmaceutical company. The scientists, the guys on the ground, they're trying. They think they're doing what's right, but in all actuality, somebody else is in control of that.
All right, David Flores says, guys, I spent 14 years addicted to opiates. Been clean for 4 years now. I was a fireman and EMT. No doctor told me it was heroin. I lost everything. Glad to hear you're clean now, my friend. Sorry to hear you lost everything, man.
That's great, dude.
All right, user 4179 says, here's a few bucks for all the 20s Ian's rolled tonight.
Hell yeah.
Ian's rolling 20s like crazy. Kevin Corbett says, if you like horse racing, try your local dirt track. Sprint cars and late models are beastly. You know, I really want them to reopen the restaurant so you can sit up top with a seat looking down. And
That
you're
sounds fun.
Eating food, and then every time you see the horses, and you're like, woo, and you can make your bet and then go sit down and have your food and be like, who got it? It was so much fun. I bet on all the favorites 2 weeks ago, and all the favorites won. So it's like you bet $10 and you win like $13 or something. So it's like, okay. And I guess it's because people will bet on the long shot horses and then that money covers. So you can't really, like if you really want to make money gambling, you can go bet on roulette or something, put on a red or black. Mm-hmm. But the horses is fun. It's like you pick the horse with the stupidest name, you know, like American Patriot or something. No offense. I mean, the horse is a nice horse, I'm sure. But he just came in last place, so he didn't win any money or anything like that. But it's fun, you know.
Those jockeys got some balls, man.
Yeah.
Jumping up on those horses, man, and going around the track like they do, man. That's what first thing I thought of when I was at a racetrack for the first time. I said, good Lord, man, these dudes, they got some heart, man, because those horses, man, they got some power.
My favorite are always the mystery shows that take place at the horse races. Like you'll get like an Agatha Christie show, and it's all about there's murder at the horse track, and someone was illegally doping a horse. Those are always my favorite ones. You know.
Josh Karen says the baby boomers retired during COVID. That's another good point. I've heard that a lot. That's why it's hard to find workers, because the baby boomers were working, you know, management jobs. They all retire. Then the millennials and Gen Xers start moving up. Gen Xers take over these jobs. Millennials, you know, move into higher positions, and now there's no low skill worker base.
I see.
What about all the Gen Z people? Are they just too young still?
They're posting TikToks too much. They have no idea.
They don't know what's going on?
They don't know what's going on. They're living at home with their parents probably.
I guess my kid is Gen Z, right? Is that right?
Yeah.
If he's 2010.
Is 2000? I don't know if that's Gen Z. That might be Gen Alpha.
It's like the next one. It's like the unknown.
No, it's Gen Alpha is the next one.
Okay.
I'm calling it Alpha Gen.
Well, that's what some people call it.
Now
You
that
want to
we've-
look it up?
Yeah, now that we've surpassed the Z, Gen Z, we're starting it
So
over
it's
again.
over,
Now we're just
yeah.
going to be Z Gen, Alpha Gen, Beta Gen.
Oh, there's a thing.
Because Gen Beta, Gen Alpha, you know, I don't want to
No,
get confused with the
hold
last
on.
one.
You don't want to trigger them, man.
You want to be nice to those guys.
Yeah, you just take a piece of paper and they walk on it and then you place it. That's what I do.
Dude,
with the,
Alpha generation, as if they're not going to be the most badass humans ever made.
Yeah, I don't know about that, dude.
Gen Alpha, Alpha Gen.
Is that what it's called?
They got the
That's
work
what I
cut
call
out
it.
for them.
Yeah, they call it Generation Alpha
I'm
because they
sorry.
had no creativity, but I call it
Alpha
Alpha
Gen
Gen.
are going to be the Wall-E hover chair, morbidly
Right.
obese people.
If you say that, they'll believe you, and then that's what they'll become. But we got to inspire Alpha
yeah,
Gen.
we got to change it, man.
They're like, what, 8,
What
9,
year is it? Look it up.
11?
What's the Generation Alpha?
Early 2010s
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so I guess that's my kid.
Yep.
That's right.
Gen
to
Alpha.
the mid 2020s, yeah. All the kids these days are Gen Alpha.
Well, early 2010s. What is that? Is that 2010 specifically, or because maybe he's at the cutoff?
Oh, it doesn't say.
He's Gen Alpha, like a Zennial.
Yes.
He's like right on the cusp.
Yeah, like Ian's a Zennial, I think they call it.
Yeah.
Is that
It's
what
like
it is? X.
yeah, when you're
Zennial?
The last year of X. Yeah, I'm,
I'm
79, so right.
I'm
right at the
definitely
end of Gen X, they call them Zennials.
Yeah.
When does
They're all-
millennials start?
Millennial? I think what is it?
1981.
I think
Is
you'd
it
be-
81?
I
Are you
think
sure?
you'd be millennial.
No,
81?
it's not 81.
Wikipedia says 81 to 96 is millennial.
Wow.
And then 97 to 2012 is Z, so that'd be 2013.
Oh, okay,
to
so he's Z.
present.
Yeah,
Okay.
your kid is Z. 2012.
He's a Zalpha.
Okay.
Yeah.
He would be his Alpha. Yep. All right, what do we got here? James Ray says a lot of people died from COVID, and the homeless might be a reason not enough workers. That is a good point. You know,
Yeah, what's your worker base been like the whole process? Did you see more people leave, or have you hired more?
It's tougher to get people. I mean, my wife and I are at the restaurant, all day, every day, because it's hard to get people in, especially management positions. It's easier to get the younger workers that are just coming into the workforce. I mean, although I gotta overpay them to work, it's easier to get those folks because they're just coming into the workforce. But to get the 25-year-olds who can hold down the restaurant without me having to be there, 24/7, those are the positions that are impossible to fill right now, and it's just I have no idea why. I have no answer for it. It's just weird. But what I do see is I do know a lot of people are on unemployment because I put those ads out, and I'll get like 30 applications a week, and I'll call all of them in for an interview, and none of them will show up.
Wow.
They're just checking the mark because they got to apply to a certain amount of jobs.
Oh my
every
goodness!
week.
To fill out for unemployment, you
And
have
I
to say.
actually I called the unemployment office in Virginia, and I said, "Hey guys, this is going on. Just wanted to alert you to it." And they transferred me to like 5 different people because everybody said, "Oh, I don't know what to do with that information." And I said, "No. I got this person's name right here. I wanted to let you know if they're on unemployment. I called them in for an interview, and I'll offer them a job. So just so you know, if they're on unemployment, I will offer them a job." And they transferred me to like 5 different people. Finally, she was like, "We don't have anybody that records that information."
But here's the issue: if someone makes $20 an hour, loses their job, goes on unemployment, comes to you, and you say, "I'll give you $15 an hour," and they go, "Okay," and then you're like, "Why aren't they calling back?" They could be telling unemployment, "I got an offer, but it was under my normal wage," and they'll say, "No, don't take it," because the problem is, if somebody makes, let's say somebody makes like $50K a year, and they get laid off, and they're desperate, unemployment covers a very small amount, then they get offered a job at 35. What they actually say is, if you take that underpaying job, you will start your bills, you won't be able to pay them, you will end up in the exact same position, and it'll be for longer, and it will reinstate another round of benefits. So the math actually is, don't take an underpaying job, otherwise they'll end up paying more unemployment. You see how it works?
Yeah, or I do.
Not that I'm saying it's justified, I'm saying that's the logic they give.
Yeah, I mean everything the government puts their hands on turns to shit, and that's the moral of the story. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, well, that's truth. That's truth. John L. says, "What is Libby's excuse for the post-millennial headlines of Antifa forced protesters?" That was funny. I got you.
You did. Yeah, you got me on
I
that
was
one.
reading this post-millennial. It's like Antifa protests, shoots cop, burns down buildings. And I'm like, hold on a minute.
It was interesting because we had run stories about that before where the headline called them domestic terrorists. And this was a story that Andy No was working on. And he and I talked about it at length. And apparently it's actually called the Atlanta Forest. And he thought that by saying defenders, he was making fun of them.
Well, why would you want to make fun of them? Why don't you just do the news?
We didn't end up totally agreeing on that headline.
Yeah, even Cassandra wrote a story and she called them protesters. And then I said the same thing. I was like, Timcast.com, protests? What is this? And then later it says they're charged with domestic terrorism. And I'm like, let's just say alleged domestic terrorists.
Our previous headlines had said domestic terrorists.
Yeah.
So I think maybe we were just switching it up a little bit. But
Alleged is key. If they've just been charged.
But I think they were charged.
Innocent until proven guilty.
They were charged with domestic terrorism, I
But
believe.
But the guy that shot the cop in the woods?
Yeah,
allegedly.
yeah. And then
allegedly.
You got to
but
understand.
then he got shot.
And killed.
Allegedly.
And you got to
He was allegedly killed.
Yes.
Well, he's dead, and you can't defend the dead. But you got to understand, the scariest thing of the story about these Antifa terrorists is that they crossed state lines with guns.
That's really
When I heard that, I
a
panicked.
disconcerting situation.
Yeah.
I don't think there should be obviously checkpoints so that you're not allowed to cross.
They crossed state lines with guns.
Shout out to the United
Wow.
States.
That's crazy. Can't believe
Could
they
you
would do that.
even imagine?
That's just heavens. Mercy. All right. B. Walsh says, I was in Walmart one night at about 8:30 p.m. So in a busy area, not so real late. All right, so not real late. They only had self-checkout. I forced them to put someone on the register. Said there's 20 employees doing nothing. You know what I can't stand? We would go. What store would we go to? We stopped going there. I think it's Weiss, the supermarket chain out here, because our self-checkout doesn't work. Here's what happens.
I know what you're gonna say.
What do you think?
I hate it, man. So you ring something up, and then it tells you put it in the bag.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh my
and then
God.
you're like, it's in the bag. It's in the bag. It's like, please place item in the. It is. It's sitting.
So
right
you have to
in the-
take it out and put it back in.
Exactly.
the
Or when they
register.
say,
Every
please,
single
please
time.
remove the item from the bagging area. And
then
you're
you-
like, there's nothing there.
Yep.
I literally didn't put anything there.
And then I'm putting it down, and then it's like it won't scan anything, and then I pick it back up, and it's like, please return the item, and you're like, I put it back down, and then it goes, please wait for assistance. Oh, are you kidding me?
Yep.
And then we're like, hello, is any human here? You're like,
and there's no humans.
Nope.
I just want to walk down the aisle and just push everything onto the floor, man. It just pisses me off.
That's what they do in New York, and then they steal it.
Yep.
They put face masks on because they're COVID compliant. Walk in with garbage bags, take everything off the shelves, and run out. And security guards, like, nobody will stop them. And you'll even have employees telling customers, like, don't do anything, and they'll just film it.
But everything is becoming automated. I even get I get an email probably once a month from companies that are making these robotic arms that can run your grill for you.
All right.
That doesn't sound like it's going to result in good grilling.
No, it doesn't.
Steven Sanders says, Tim, a lung cancer patient and myself were arrested December 12th, 2022, with another veteran, Deland, Florida, for not wearing a mask, held in police car, 3 hours, 47 minutes. All charges following SSA mask policy last month. Footage available. In Florida, where's Ron DeSantis? On that one. Big Hale fan says, big fan, Tim. The fact that this was allowed to happen is absolutely disgusting. Wouldn't this qualify as biological warfare? When do we bring back tarring and feathering? I don't think tarring and feathering is actually effective. Not that I think locking someone up for, a long period of time is effective either.
Well, if you tar and feather someone, that's death. You kill them by doing that.
Pretty much.
Were they killing them?
Yeah, you can die from that.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They used to do it all the time to people. That's a weird thing to do. I don't
They
get
also
it.
used to draw and quarter people. That would
Yeah.
also kill
Have
you.
you guys... Okay, so I'm watching 1883. I don't like it. All right?
I don't know.
You guys have seen it?
I haven't seen it.
No.
Everybody's telling me last night, and they're like, "You gotta see it. It's so good. It's the Oregon Trail. It's a prequel to Yellowstone." And they're going, and it's like if you ever played the game Oregon Trail when you were a kid, oh, you're gonna love it. And then I'm watching it, and it's literally like every 5 seconds, it's people just killing each other, and I'm like, "Come on, man!"
Yeah.
And then it's apparently like it's realistic to how things were back then. I'm like, "Come on!" There's like a pickpocket, and maybe this is true. Fine. The main character just shoots him in the back, and then someone yells pickpocket and starts stomping on him while he's got like buckshot in his back, and then he goes, "He took my wallet," and grabs his wallet back, and then they literally drag him and just string him up right there, killing him on the spot. And I'm like, for real? No. Okay, maybe. Then there's like, I don't want to spoil it, but there's like a big fight happens and a kid dies. So they go to the marshal, who's played by Billy Bob Thornton, and he's like, "Well, let's go." And then he walks into the saloon, and then he yells at the guy's name, and then he's like, "Look, boom, shoots him, shoots a guy. And he goes, "Are there any else?" And then he points at another guy, and he just walks up and shoots him. And I'm like, come on.
That's just not.
Literally every 10 seconds, someone's dying. And it's like, how would human civilization function if this is how it actually went down? And people are saying, like, that's really how it was. You'd walk into a saloon and just murder 10 people and walk away, and nobody...
I don't think that's real. The other thing, too, is whenever you see these shows and a whole bunch of people get killed, no one has any emotional reaction. And I don't think that's accurate either.
No,
Like
it's
people
not.
vomiting and stuff.
Like, yeah, you'd have an emotional reaction. You'd be, like, freaked out if somebody walked into where you were sitting and shot 10 people.
All right. We're going to read one more here. Jennifer Ramos says, Matt for VA Senate at Matt for VA on all social media platforms. If you haven't already, would you kindly smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends, and become a member over at timcast.com. Type in timcast.com, click join us. We are going to post, it'll be on the front page at about 11 p.m., a members-only uncensored segment from this show that you haven't seen. We're going to record it right now. So become a member to support us. We really do appreciate it. You can follow the show at Timcast IRL on all platforms. Follow us on Instagram. You can follow at Timcast News on Twitter. One of our reporters got attacked by some protester. Lightly, it wasn't crazy. He tried to steal his camera or something and then just walked off. And you can follow me personally at Timcast. Matt, do you want to shout anything out?
Yeah, absolutely. Please follow me at Matt for VA everywhere. Twitter, Facebook, everywhere. And also check out my website, mattforva.com, and follow this journey I am on to, like I said, crush the establishment and bring some true patriotic representation for the people to the state of Virginia. So I can start to clean this thing up, guys, because the state level stuff is it's where it starts. And even if you don't live in Virginia, it's important to you because Virginia has always been a swing state. And the first thing I'm coming to do is make sure we secure our elections. So what you guys will know is that the politicians that are selected at the federal level, the congressmen and the U.S. senators that come out of Virginia, they will actually be selected by the people once I take this state Senate seat. So please go to mattforva.com and support my campaign, guys.
Right on.
I'm Libby Emmons. You can follow me at Libby Emmons on Twitter, and you can check out thepostmillennial.com.
Anyone wants clarification, it's Matt for VA. It's FOR, not the number, but the word for. Matt for VA. Good to see you, man.
Thank you.
Looking forward to spend some time at Gourmelts playing a show.
I can't wait, man. I'm ready for you guys to come down and rock with
Be
us.
hot. And Matt Gaetz, when he was on, we were talking about blockchain backups for voting to secure the actual votes. That's very interesting. So if you and Matt can ever get in touch, I think that might be something we can start pushing forward
I
with.
would love to.
Yeah, great stuff. All right. Bye, everyone. I'm Ian Crossland. Happy to see you. Happy Monday. Take care of yourself tonight.
And I am at Serge.com. It's been a good show. Really hoping you do well, my friend Matt. It sounds like your head is in the right place. That was a good show. Let's get to the next one.
All right, everybody. We will see you all over at timcast.com in about an hour. Thanks for hanging out.